lies, where corruption and evil reign. This summer, the fight for truth continues. The Red Pill Project, Alpha Warrior, Defcon Zerq.
Another head hangs slowly, child is slowly taken. The violence causes silence. Who are we mistaken? Tanks and their bombs and their guns and their guns. Your head, they're crying. Your head.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
What's in your head?
Our movement is about replacing a failed and corrupt political establishment with a new government controlled by you, the American people. There is nothing the political establishment will not do.
Defcon Zerq.
Boom. Oh man, it's gonna be fire tonight, brother. How's my audio? And I'll do audio check with you before we get this started.
We're good, man. Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear. So, one audience. Obviously, you guys saw in the title. We'll be doing a debrief of the Charlie Kirk assassination, just to give you guys an idea of how this is gonna roll. We may deviate from this a little bit. But part one that we're going to cover here in the beginning is going to be the report and the timeline. Part two is going to be the assassinations, probably where we'll spend the most time on the beginning part of this. Part three is going to be the evidence. Part four is going to be the theories and debunking some stuff that's out there. Part five is going to be the theories of who and why. And this dude right here is going to blow your guys' minds and some of that stuff. And then part six, believe it or not, there might be some decodes out there that may or may not have relevance. It's going to be a long show, folks. I'll also put up a disclaimer after we do our ad reads. Listen, most of the videos, there's going to be some points we're going to show the full-blown graphic content, and there's a reason to it, because you're going to do this like a homicide debrief, and there's certain things you guys have to understand about exit wounds and blood splatter, etc. For the most part, as we articulate some of this information, I will try to freeze frame it right before the stream of obviously blood comes out. But again, this is live, and I'm doing this, with keyboard and mouse and stuff. But like I said, we will do our best to minimize how often we show that. But again, this is an adult show. And it's important because there's a lot of stuff people are putting out there, fam, that is ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. And I'm going to show you guys definitively how he was shot tonight. Now,
and Alpha, why don't you give a little background on you? On why you understand this?
Yeah, for those that are new to DEF CON, or Josh or me, I come from a military background, combat Marine. Went to Iraq in 2003 and did a decade and a half in law enforcement, where I went to the ranks of detective. I've been to homicide school. I've studied blood patterns. I've been to autopsies. I participated in autopsies with regards to the documentation. I wasn't digging or cutting into any bodies, specifically gunshot wound. I've been on scene from people that have been shot multiple times by pistols, by rifles, by shotguns, I've seen as much carnage as you can. Suicides by gun, close range. It's this is something that unfortunately was part of my daily life for almost a decade and a half. And so, like I said, I have extensive background. Of reviewing surveillance with regards to homicides. And so this is going to be not as extensive as that because we don't have the days to do it. But I promise you, because I've been searching, I promise you, you guys are not going to get a debrief on this situation the way you are tonight. The beginning part's going to be a little dry. I'm going to go through the timeline and the report and stuff, but it's only to make sure that everybody that comes here, if all you heard was about Charlie Kirk's assassination, you saw a couple of clips, this is going to paint the entire picture from a couple days before through the shooting. So with that, let's get these ads taken care of. Hopefully you guys have smashed that thumb, you shared out the content, share it on your social media. Me and Josh need your help from that. And I'll tell you what, Josh has done some phenomenal research on the who and why. And ladies and gentlemen, buckle up because this show's probably going to piss off a lot of people. So with that, let's get to the first ad on deck. Vanman. Vanman's taking down big toothpaste with all natural oral care, just pure, effective ingredients for a healthier smile. Van never stops. Now try Vanman's new chewing gum as an all-natural alternative to traditional chewing gum with none of the synthetics and plastics found in a big-name gun. Instead, it has all the tools to remineralize teeth and keep them healthy. Powered by hydroxyapatite, nature's secret weapon, loaded with minerals like eggshells and bone, two of the best forms of calcium to remineralize teeth and build strong bone tissue. Vanman's tooth powder combined with pulling oils and peppermint low mouth rinse is truly the ultimate fluoride-free dental hygiene bundle that saves you 25% off the individual prices. Head over to badlandsmedia.tv/Vanman to hop in the van for the ultimate way to care for your teeth naturally. That's badlandsmedia.tv/Vanman. Remember, fluoride free. And I'll try it one more time. Hydroxyapatite. And then our next
hydroxyapatite.
Say that.
Hydroxyapatite.
I saw the word appetite in there. I was close.
I talked to a dentist about it the other day.
Well, good. Yeah. Use that on these.
He's like, yep, if you can, we have it now and you can use it. And it's way better than fluoride. I'm like, oh yeah, it's way better.
Hell yeah. So fluoride. Well, here's our next ad, and then we'll save the last ad for the end of the show. And this one comes from Save Pulse, family. Save Pulse is dedicated to keeping you and your family healthy with top quality medications like amoxicillin, azithromycin, ivermectin, and hydroxychloroquine at unbeatable prices. The streamlined ordering process makes it easy to stock up on all your health essentials. And now with exciting news about fenbendazole showing promise in cancer research, they proudly offer this alongside antibiotics and viral care meds. Don't wait. Prepare for any health scenario today. Get your supply instead ahead of the curve with Safe Pulse. Visit badlandsmedia.tv/meds and use promo code SAVEHEALTH at checkout to get a 20% discount on orders over $100. Again, folks, amoxicillin, azithromycin, ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, all that stuff. My lips and tongue are sticking together. None of the words want to work, but you know what? You don't need the words when you go to the website at badlandsmedia.tv/meds.
I'll read them next week.
And use promo code SAVEHEALTH to save 20%. So let me put out the graphic warning thing just to cover our bases. With that, it's only a few seconds, and then we'll have it scrolling across the bottom of the screen. So real quick, folks, you've been warned. So there it is. That covers our bases there. It'll be scrolling across the bottom of the screen for a while. I'm also going to put up our ad here real quick, and then I think, yes. All right. Now we're covered. We're ready to start, brother. And hopefully everybody's been sharing this. Looks like the numbers are skyrocketing on Rumble now.
Yeah, and let me talk about numbers here. And one of the reasons why we're doing a show on this specifically. I posted a video the other day, and it was the if you're looking at Charlie, it is his left side view of the camera angle. And I said, let's put this to rest. If you watch this video, you will see for yourself. And I didn't realize it was an open-ended question that could go either way. I told Alpha that video at the time had a massive amount of views. It's up to 6.5 million views. And the one thing that I realized is that nobody is accepting the official narrative. Everybody is questioning this, from large influencers to small influencers to the everyday people, liberals, moderates, conservatives, independents. Everybody is not believing this bullshit. So I put this out there because there's some things we're going to talk about tonight. And I don't know if it's going to piss some people in the audience off. If it does, I apologize in advance. But optics are a bitch when you are stuck in the middle of a psyop that is countering a psyop that is countering another psyop. Okay? And that's going to become very, very relevant. Now, I'm going to read a quote for you. And I want you to wonder if this sounds familiar, because it's from the book Alice in Wonderland. If I had a world of my own, everything would be nonsense. Nothing would be what it is, because everything would be what it isn't. And contrast-wise, what it is, it wouldn't be. And what it wouldn't be, it would. You see? Now, that is contradicting, it's confusing, and it's meant to be. Little known CIA technique known as the Alice in Wonderland technique. You produce contradictory and confusing information in the midst of a traumatic event that induces a state of fear, and then you provide logical, rational anchors in order for the mind to grasp onto to accept the narrative that is being propagated. If that makes sense to you, it's because what you have seen over the course of the last 5 days has been exactly that. You are seeing it all throughout all social media. Every video that you've watched, every pundit that you've heard is telling you something that is confusing or contradictory of something else you just saw. The reason being is because there's active psychological warfare operations happening right now. That's why this is very important that Alpha and I are going to break down this stuff tonight. But don't believe us. Never believe anything anybody tells you, no matter who they are or what authority they possess or profess, unless you can prove it through your own research, your own investigation, through your own inquiry, and through your own volition. Alpha is going to go over everything pertaining to the event, the timelines, everything. Then I'm going to jump in after we get to about stage 5 of this, and I'm going to break down the how, the whys. The why are we seeing this from the Trump administration? A psyop. It is. Why are we seeing it? What is really going on? And I think that I figured it out. And I think that I have a good grasp on this. And it's going to be, if what I think is going to happen happens, this is going to be a mind blower for everybody in the next couple of weeks, days, or even months. But let's get on with the show and just stay here, because what we're about to reveal is going to be mind-blowing.
100%. And just a reminder for those of you that joined late, you see it scrolling across the bottom of the screen, graphic content warning. There are going to be, I'm going to try to keep it as minimal as possible. But there are going to be some times where we show the entire assassination that took place. Like I said, I'll try to give a warning right before then, but nonetheless, not a show for small viewers or people, that don't like violence. Like I said, I will give you guys a heads up for those that want to turn away during those times. Additionally, it's going to come off to a slow start. When we do these debriefs, the beginning part isn't really the sexy stuff, but to understand this case so that when we get to the part where we talk about the who and the why, you have a full grasp of that stuff. So I do want to start off by showing a video of Charlie Kirk starting the event. There's nothing graphic about this, but just to set the stage what this man was about and what he was like, and the joy that was in his heart before we all saw the tragedy unfold in front of the world. So here's that first clip.
All right, we're going to get started, everybody. You know how it works, question and answer. Also, thank you to Lane from Y-Refi. That was great. Really appreciate it. And we're going to be here for a couple hours. Get comfortable. Bring the best libs that Utah has to offer, because we're going to have some fun here. Hey, I'm looking at you up here.
So that's the kind of man he was. regardless of whether he agreed with you or he didn't, he was going to have a conversation with you. So we're going to start off real quick on, I'm going to show you guys this screen to give you an overview of the area. We're going to come to this multiple times, but this right here is just to let everybody know of the location. So let me bring this up on screen first, and then I'm going to hit play. There's no audio to this, and my audio is a little bit low in my ear, but there we go. So obviously you can see down there, that's where Charlie Kirk was shot. Gosh, I can't speak tonight. You see the identification of where the gunman shot from, and obviously you don't see all the people here that are present. But just to give everybody the visual aid of what this looked like. Actually, next, before we go into, well, I'll leave it here on the Wikipedia part for you guys. And I want to go through the timeline. Now, I went through as many of the news reports. I went through as many as the news broadcasts, through the official statements made by people, everything to combine for you guys a timeline that breaks this down, even to include two particular parts where there's a little bit of actually, we don't need this on the screen while I read this to you, because I'm going to fly through this part first. But this is just to give you guys the timeline. This goes back, if we go to the pre-event buildup, Friday, August 29th, a change.org petition launches. Prevent Charlie Kirk from speaking at Utah Valley University. This is reported by the AP News if you guys want to go read the article. Wednesday, September 3rd, UVU issues a statement affirming its commitment to free speech, intellectual inquiry, and constructive dialogue ahead of the event. Again, also reported by the AP News. So this is pre-incident. Now we get into the day of the incident. So Wednesday, September 10th at UVU, which is in Orem, Utah. Suspect arrival. Now here's the discrepancy. So I'm going to be providing two for you guys. Suspect arrival times 8:29 Mountain Time. Governor Spencer Cox says surveillance shows the suspect arriving in campus in a gray Dodge Challenger. He later changes it into dark clothing. Now the discrepancy comes here at 11:52 a.m. Mountain Time. The AP timeline lists this as the suspect's campus arrival. Both times are carried by multiple major outlets. So obviously when the police report comes out, I think we'll have a more definitive timeline. But as of right now, you have 8:29 Mountain Time and 11:52 Mountain Time. Between 12 o'clock and 12:09 in the afternoon Mountain Time, the event in UVU's Fountain Courtyard begins. The crowd, with an estimated around 3,000, shows up. Charlie Kirk begins the opening announcements, starts throwing hats. Between 12:20 and 12:23 Mountain Time, a single rifle shot is fired and it strikes Charlie Kirk. Authorities say it came from the rooftop at or near the Lossy Center, roughly about 200 yards from the stage. Videos start coming out showing everybody the assassination as well as the chaos. At 12:23 p.m. Mountain Time, UVU campus police radio says shots fired, Charlie Kirk's down. This dispatch audio has been made public for those that want to go hear it. Between 12:36 and 12:39 p.m. Mountain Time, high-profile reactions begin on social media. FBI agents arrive on scene, and that's documented again by multiple news reports. Between 12:47 and 12:52 Mountain Time, UVU alert says it again confirms a single shot was fired and that the suspect is in custody. Obviously, this proves to be premature. I'm reporting it as it unfolded. At 12:59 p.m. Mountain Time, just before 1 o'clock, videos show students sheltering as more law enforcement arrives on scene, reported by multiple news. At 2:22 p.m. Mountain Time, Orem police says that the shooter is not in custody and remains at large. ABC News had a big one, and I think was the first one to come out with that confirmation. At 2:40 p.m. Mountain Time, President Donald Trump posts that Kirk has died of his injuries, and this is the first official time that we have. As of about 4 or 5 hours ago, there's no official time of death yet that I've been able to locate. So right now, the first formal notice that we get is from President Trump's post. At between 4 and 4:30 p.m. Mountain Time, Governor Cox says a second person of interest is being questioned. FBI Director Kash Patel posts that the subject is in custody and later clarifies that that person was released. Officials confirmed that at 4:30 p.m. briefing that Kirk died at the hospital and that the suspect remains at large. At 5:59 p.m. Mountain Time, FBI director notes that the subject previously held was released after interrogation, and you've seen all the backblast from that. Now we move into September 11th, Thursday. This is the manhunt and some of the evidence stuff. The morning updates come out. Officials say that they have recovered what is believed to be the murder weapon, a high-powered bolt-action rifle 30-06 found in the wooded area along the escape route. Investigators also collect footwear impressions, palm, and forearm prints. The FBI releases images of the person of interest and announce a reward to up to $100,000. Some of the outlets and times in the photos released mid-morning had some AI modifications to them to increase the image, and there's a lot of controversy coming out surrounding that, which I'm sure will play into the conversation later. Then we get into the evening tip and the apprehension. A family member contacts a family friend who it has been determined is a U.S. Marshal, task force officer, also a youth pastor. He's relaying that Tyler Robinson, 22, confessed or implied responsibility for the shooting to his family and to the officer. Authorities converge and arrest Robinson at 10 p.m. Mountain Time, Washington County. The other news that comes out is that he went to the sheriff's office and surrendered himself. I've seen both stories. So that they came to the house and arrested him, that it was voluntary. The other part is that he actually went to the sheriff's department and surrendered himself. The arrest announcement, this comes Friday, September 12th, early in the morning. About 8:05 Mountain Time, officials announced Tyler Robinson, 22, is in custody and booked in the Utah County Jail. At 10:20 a.m. Mountain Time, the probable cause affidavit outlines evidence Robinson is held on suspicion of aggravated murder, death eligible in Utah. Felony discharge of a firearm causing serious bodily injury, obstruction. I'll go into that because we're going to get into that form right now. Additional details are reported. Investigators recover shell casings with engraved messages referencing memes, video games, in video game jokes. Officials say that the shot was a single long-range rooftop shot during a crowd of 3,000, again, from a bolt-action rifle that was seized. And then over the weekend, Saturday and Sunday, the 13th and the 14th, Reuters reports Robinson is jailed awaiting formal charges next week, which we got this morning. The manhunt lasted 33 hours. That's created a whole lot of controversy. It's come out that, the roommate is a transgender. It comes out that the roommate is a boyfriend. We start learning that the father of the suspect is hardcore MAGA. We get a lot of these developments over Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. And then from there, now we'll get into this report here. Give me 1 second while I grab it, folks. Okay, here we go. Let me bring this up on the screen for you guys to see. I will include the link in the description of the video if you guys want to watch this afterwards. This is 10 pages. I'm obviously not going to read all 10 pages, but we are going to start from right here, the probable cause from page 3. This is going to be the not so exciting, but very important part, and I'll keep trying to fly through this, folks. Probable cause statement. And just so people understand a probable cause statement, this is where the officers are articulating some of the facts. Prior to this, at the beginning, it listed the charges. So in here, it's a very basic description of the homicide that took place, just to show the judge and the prosecuting attorney, hey, here's what our report is basically going to entail to show you that we have probable cause. The actual report itself will probably be upwards of maybe 100 to 200 pages. So just understand, if you say, man, this seems very vague, it's because the probable cause declaration, and most probable cause declarations are only about 2 pages or 2.5 pages. So this is lengthy considering. So here we go. Probable cause statement. Brian Davis of the Utah State Bureau of Investigations, having probable cause to believe that the defendant committed the above listed offenses, submitted the following evidence in support of the filing of this information. On September 10th, 2025, at approximately 12:23 p.m., Charlie Kirk was shot and killed while speaking to a large crowd on the campus of Utah Valley University, UVU, in Orem, Utah. Counts 1 and 2. Police found the suspected murder weapon, a bolt-action 30-06 rifle, nearby. Over the next approximately 33 hours, police conducted a manhunt for the shooter until the evening of September 11, 2025, when Tyler James Robinson was surrendered to police at the Washington County Sheriff's Office. DNA consistent with Robinson was found on the rifle's trigger. After shooting Mr. Kirk, Robinson hid the gun, count 3, discarded the clothing he wore when he fired the rifle, count 4, and told his lover roommate to delete incriminating text messages, count 5, and not to talk to police, count 6. Children were present at the time of the shooting, count 7. The shooting. Turning Point USA, a nonprofit organization founded in 2012 by Charlie Kirk, organized a public outdoor event to be held at noon on September 10, 2025 at UVU. The event was the first in a series of similar events to be held at college campuses nationwide. Mr. Kirk is a well-known conservative activist, famous for these types of events where he discusses various political issues and debates with audience members. His events and comments have garnered a significant number of supporters and drawn the ear of many who disagree with his political views. The event at UVU was announced far in advance and garnered significant publicity and interest. Consequently, several hundred people attended. Mr. Kirk was interacting with the crowd before the event officially got underway. Then, approximately at noon, Mr. Kirk seated himself under a portable canopy behind a table and microphone. He began speaking to the crowd and fielding questions from attendees, a format Mr. Kirk commonly used at his events. Mr. Kirk allowed his questioners to approach a microphone positioned directly in front of him. Mr. Kirk's team members were very close to him on his right and left, as well as some behind the canopy and others at various close locations nearby. The large crowd surrounded Mr. Kirk on 3 sides. Temporary metal fencing separated attendees from Mr. Kirk by only a matter of feet. Directly above and behind Mr. Kirk was the UVU Hall of Flags, an indoor walkway spanning several hundred feet with floor-to-ceiling glass windows which overlooked the plaza where Mr. Kirk was seated. People were in the walkway at the time of the shooting. Approximately 15 minutes into the event, Mr. Kirk was answering a question about mass shootings by transgender individuals when a gunshot rang out. The bullet struck Mr. Kirk in the neck. He slumped to the ground almost immediately. The bullet's trajectory passed closely to several other individuals beside Mr. Kirk, including the questioner who was standing directly in front of Mr. Kirk. Children were visible near Mr. Kirk's stage when he was shot. Mr. Kirk was rushed to a nearby hospital where he was declared deceased. The medical examiner report is pending. The UVU surveillance investigation. At the moment of the shot, a UVU police officer was watching the crowd from an elevated vantage point. As soon as he heard the shot, he began to scan the area for threats. Believing the shot came from a rifle because of its sound, he looked for potential sniper positions. He noted a roof area approximately 160 yards away from Mr. Kirk as a potential shooting position and rushed there to look for evidence. The suspected shooting position is adjacent to an open, publicly accessible walkway. To access the suspected location, a person must climb over a railing and then drop to the roof only slightly below. The UVU officer climbed over the railing and down onto the roof. He then walked to the suspected shooting position and confirmed a clear shooting corridor between the position and Mr. Kirk's seat. He also noted markings in the gravel rooftop consistent with a sniper having lain on the roof. Impressions in the gravel potentially left by elbows, knees, and feet of a person in a prone shooting position. Police reviewed surveillance from the camera covering the roof and discovered that it recorded an individual dressed in dark clothing cross the railing from the public walkway and drop onto the roof at approximately 12:15 p.m. Although the individual moved out of the camera's view for a short time, the camera again captured the individual running across the roof and then low crawling to the area the UVU officer recognized as where he suspected the sniper had dropped into a prone shooting position. After a short time, which matches the known time of the shot, the individual arose and ran across the roof to the northeast. And there's a lot of stuff I'm sure we'll talk about here on this, him crawling into the prone position, and we'll get into that, folks, I promise. The discovery led to an intensive review of the UVU surveillance recordings to attempt to track and identify the suspect. Surveillance revealed the following. At approximately 11:51 a.m., the suspect entered the campus from the north. He is seen wearing a black shirt with an American flag in its center, a dark baseball cap, and large sunglasses. Throughout the surveillance, the suspect keeps his head down and rarely raises his head enough to get a clear image of his face. As he proceeds across the campus, he is seen walking with an unusual gait. The suspect walks with very little bending in his right leg, consistent with a rifle being hidden in his pants. This unusual gait continues until the suspect is seen crossing the railing off the open walkway and onto the roof, where he leaves the camera's view. A camera later captures the suspect as he runs across the roof to the suspected shooting position. Immediately after the shot was fired, a camera captures the suspect running across the roof carrying an item whose shape is consistent with a rifle. The suspect is then seen climbing down from the roof. He appears to drop the item he was carrying, and he hits the ground in a controlled fall. He then picks up the item and runs towards the northeast end of the campus. I'll show this video in a little while. Expanded crime scene investigation. Law enforcement officers follow the suspect's escape path to the northeast end of the campus, where they believe the suspect left the campus and entered a wooded area. In that wooded area, investigators found a bolt-action rifle wrapped in a towel. The rifle contained 1 spent round and 3 unspent rounds. This is consistent with the facts officers observed at the time of and immediately after the shooting. No shell casings were found on the roof, suggesting a bolt action rather than an auto-loading weapon, and only a single round was fired. Each round in the rifle contained an etched inscription as follows: the fired cartridge. This is the one that was found in a steel chamber. Notices bulge, OWO, what's this? Second cartridge, hey fasces, catch, with arrow symbols. Third cartridge, oh bella chow, 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 chow. Fourth cartridge, if you read this, you are gay, LMAO. The rifle ammunition rounds and towel were sent for forensic processing. DNA consistent with Robinson was found on the trigger and other parts of the rifle, the fired cartridge casing, 2 of the 3 unfired cartridges, and the towel. Law enforcement was unable to immediately locate the shooter, so they published photos of the shooter from the UVU surveillance cameras and asked for the public's help to identify him. Meanwhile, law enforcement continued to try to identify the shooter through other means. The Washington County investigation. On the evening of September 11, 2025, as law enforcement continued their investigation, Tyler James Robinson went to the Washington County Sheriff's Office with his parents and a family friend to turn himself in. Robinson's mother stated the following to police. On September 11th, the day after the shooting, Robinson's mother saw the photo of the shooter in the news and thought that the shooter looked like her son. Robinson's mother called her son and asked him where he was. He said he was at home sick and that he had been at home sick on September 10th. Robinson's mother expressed concern to her husband that the suspected shooter looked like Robinson. Robinson's father agreed. Robinson's mother explained that over the last year or so, Robinson had become more political and had started to lean more to the left, becoming more pro-gay and trans-right oriented. She stated that Robinson began to date his roommate, a biological male who was transitioning genders. This resulted in several discussions with family members, but especially between Robinson and his father, who had very different political views. In one conversation before the shooting, Robinson mentioned that Charlie Kirk would be holding an event at UVU, which Robinson said was a stupid venue for the event. Robinson accused Kirk of spreading hate. Robinson's father reported that when his wife showed him the surveillance image of the suspected shooter in the news, he agreed that it looked like their son. He also believed that the rifle that the police suspected the shooter used matched a rifle that was given to his son as a gift. As a result, Robinson's father contacted his son and asked him to send a photo of the rifle. Robinson did not respond. However, Robinson's father spoke on the phone with Robinson. Robinson implied that he planned to take his own life. Robinson's parents were able to convince him to meet at their home. As they discussed the situation, Robinson implied that he was the shooter and stated that he couldn't go to jail and just wanted to end it. When asked why he did it, Robinson explained there's too much evil and the guy, Charlie Kirk, spreads too much hate. They talked about Robinson turning himself in and convinced Robinson to speak with a family friend who is a retired deputy sheriff. At Robinson's father's request, the family friend met with the Robinsons and his parents and convinced Robinson to turn himself in. The family friend spoke to police and reported telling Robinson that it would be best if he brought all the evidence with him to the sheriff's office to avoid police having to search his parents' home. The family friend also asked Robinson if he had any clothes that were related to what he did. Robinson replied that he had disposed of the clothes in different areas. The roommate. Police interviewed Robinson's roommate, a biological male who was involved in a romantic relationship with Robinson. The roommate told police that the roommate received messages from Robinson about the shooting and provided those messages to police. On September 10th, 2022, the roommate received a message from Robinson which stated, and I believe that this is a typo, folks. I don't believe they meant 2022. I believe they meant 2025, but I'm reading it as it's documented. The roommate received a text message from Robinson which stated, "Drop what you are doing, look under the keyboard." The roommate looked under the keyboard and found a note that stated, "I had the opportunity to take out Charlie Kirk, and I'm going to take it. Police found the photograph of this note. The following text exchange took place. After reading the note, the roommate responded, "What?" Bunch of question marks. "You're joking, right?" Bunch of question marks. Robinson: "I'm still okay, my love, but I'm stuck in Orem for a little while longer. Yet. Shouldn't be long until I can come home, but I gotta grab my rifle still. To be honest, I had hoped to keep this secret till I died of old age. I'm sorry to involve you." Roommate: "You weren't the one who did it, right?" Robinson: "I am. I'm sorry." Roommate: I thought they caught the person." Robinson: "No, they grabbed some crazy old dude, then interrogated someone in similar clothing. I had planned to grab my rifle from my drop point shortly after, but most of that side of town got locked down. It's quiet, almost enough to get out, but there's one vehicle lingering." Roommate: "Why?" Robinson: "Why did I do it?" Roommate: "Yeah." Robinson: "I had enough of his hatred. Some hate can't be negotiated out. If I'm able to grab my rifle unseen, I will have left no evidence. Going to attempt to retrieve it again. Hopefully they have moved on. I haven't seen anything about them finding it." Roommate: "How long have you been planning this?" Robinson: "A bit over a week, I believe. I get close to it, but there's a squad car there parked right by it. I think they already swept that spot, but I don't want to chance it." Robinson: "I'm wishing I had circled back and grabbed it as soon as I got off my vehicle. ... I'm worried that my old man would do it if I didn't bring it back. I'm worried what my old man would do if I didn't bring back Grandpa's rifle. IDEK, if it had a serial number, but it wouldn't trace to me. I worry about my prints. I had to leave it in a bush where I changed outfits. Didn't have the ability or time to bring it with. I might have to abandon it and hope they don't find prints. How the fuck will I explain losing it to my old man? Only thing I left was the rifle wrapped in a towel. Remember how I was engraving bullets? The fucking messages are mostly a big meme. If I see, quote, notices bulge UWU on Fox News, I might have a stroke. All right, I'm going to have to leave it. That really fucking sucks. Judging from today, I'd say Grandpa's gun does just fine. I don't know. I think that was a $2,000 scope. Robinson: "Delete this exchange." Robinson: "My dad wants photos of the rifle. He says Grandpa wants to know who has what. The feds released a photo of the rifle and it is very unique. He's calling me right now. I'm not answering." Robinson: "Since Trump got into office, my dad has been pretty diehard MAGA." Robinson: "I'm going to turn myself in willingly. One of my neighbors here is a deputy for the sheriff." Robinson: "You are all I worry about, love." Roommate: I'm much more worried about you." Robinson: "Don't talk to the media, please. Don't take any interviews or make any comments. If any police ask you questions, ask for a lawyer and stay silent." Search of Robinson's residence. Police executed a search warrant on Robinson's residence. During that search, police discovered a shell casing with etchings like the etchings found on the shells in the rifle near UVU. Police also found several targets with bullet holes in Robinson's home. Count 1, aggravated murder, pertains to Robinson's shooting and killing of Charlie Kirk in the manner that exposed others, and this just goes through the different counts. So I'll just do so you got aggravated murder, count 1, count 2, felony discharge of a firearm, count 3, obstructing justice, count 4, obstructing justice, count 5, witness tampering, and count 6, witness tampering, both with the roommate. Count 7, violence offense committed in the presence of a child. Based upon the evidence received from Brian Davis of the Utah State Bureau of Investigations, I have reason to believe the defendant committed the offenses as charged here and authorized for presentment and filing on September 16, 2025, Utah County Attorney's Office, sworn to by, and then his name right there. Any comments or statements you want to make on that while I get the next thing up and ready to go?
Well, it's kind of interesting, isn't it? So we get this released, and obviously, by the way, I've been on social media all day. The only thing that people are seeing on social media is the text messages. They did not see the complete filing. I guarantee people in the audience are seeing this for the first time and hearing this for the first time. Now, it's interesting because it all lays it out nice and neatly. And then the text messages just back up the filing 100% with all the evidence and everything the FBI has told us. It shows 100% transparency. But as we'll get into the text messages here in a little while, we'll realize that that's not really the case with the text messages. There's something off about them. Now, about
let me comment to the text messages real quick so people know. Obviously, I read the text messages as they were printed. You can see there's gaps. So they're not providing the entire conversation of the text messages. They're only providing us the part of the text messages that articulate the support for each count. Just so people understand that part. But please continue, brother.
So Ken Klippenstein, I'd never heard of this guy before in my life. I know it's a Jewish name, but I still went and read his Substack. Apparently, he claims that he was he reached out to the Discord group that these kids were in, and they invited him into the group and they showed him all the message exchanges. Now, I find this kind of interesting, but he claims that they're not liberals, they're not left, they're nihilist, violent extremists, NVEs, which have been declared by the FBI as a watchable group. The interesting part about it, and one thing of relevance, and I think is to bring up, is in the text messages he says about the memes, the etchings on the bullets. Now, this kid was obsessed with a video game known as Helldivers 2. Now, video game. What people need to see context here. Video game. And that all the inscriptions on the engravings are actually parts of the video game. We're all memes directly from the video game. The phrases inscribed on one bullet casings from the shooter, "Hey, fascist, catch," though widely reported to mean he was a man on the left, it is in fact a reference to Helldivers 2 video game. The 3 arrows, initially believed to be federal agents to reference to Antifa, are also a reference to Helldivers video game. So there's some interesting caveats to a lot of this stuff. And I'll let you continue, but I want to jump into these things here later on. And I found it also interesting that George Zinn was vindicated by this kid's testimony. Oh, some old guy, as in he didn't know him. But then what happened to George Zinn today, the guy that was first booked, who came out and said, I'm the shooter, shoot me, shoot me, shoot me. And the old man was arrested, who typically attends various different Republicans events. He's a very popular, famous Republican in Utah, actually. And they detained him and eventually let him go. But today, he was arrested on child pornography charges and on obstructing justice. Now, the child pornography charges I find really interesting. Because if the intelligence agencies wanted to target you and keep you to shut up and not tell your story, what is one thing that they do? They hack into your computer and they drop a whole bunch of files in there, and they call the law enforcement, who comes in there and seizes your files, and voila, there's child porn everywhere. I've had 2 friends back in the days of the Oath Keepers. One was a very, very popular Marine social influencer. And this happened to him exactly when he spoke out about certain things. And that's one of the MOs of intelligence agencies, of how they'll take you down. One night, they'll come in, they'll log into your computer, a file that you're not seeing, that's hidden, that's compressed. The next day that you get raided, and there it is. Now, George Zinn just had that happen to him today. I find that highly sketch. I will let you continue, and we'll talk about all the inconsistencies here in a little bit.
It's very sketch, too, considering when he voluntarily let them go through his phone. And every pedo that I know has always refused to do that and needs search warrants because of that. This next part, the New York Times, now granted, it's the New York Times, but they did a phenomenal job of labeling these graphs to give you guys references. That's why I want to include this before we get into, maximizing the wrong screen. Here we go. I want to make this a little bigger for you guys. So New York Times, it's called Retracing the Path of the Suspect in the Killing of Charlie Kirk. And so when you see this photo up here, you see the top right, obviously the number 1. And this begins the journey from the suspect coming into the west part of the school over here into the parking garage as described. Then they pick him up on camera again over here where the number 5 is. And then from there, he goes across this building, number 6. This is where he says he gets into the roof. Then 7 is where he goes to the shooting position where he takes the shot on Charlie. Up here, you see the square where it has Charlie Kirk labeled. That's the little, looks like an upside down house or barn that's over there. And then you see the escape route from the shooter across the Low-C Center to the corner where we'll see the surveillance, and then the wooded area where they end up recovering the rifle. But as we go through this, this is, again, the zoomed in image of the arriving. And Here's one of the famous photos and the location this photo was taken from. This is the parking garage stairs. So just, so everybody's aware, this goes back to up here, the number 4 area. So right here it is. And again, they said he very rarely ever looked up. A comment to that is, that typically indicates someone who has done some research, someone who has been given orders or instructions. Your normal person doesn't know, and if they do know, typically doesn't have the discipline to avoid camera detection. Then we get over here. Showed you guys this video of the area. Now here in this image, and let me open this up in a new tab so you guys can see this a little bit better. So this is the vantage point of the shooter. So this would have been the shooter's visual from the rooftop to the area. They went and used some 3D CAD programs to recreate this. So this would have been the line of sight for the shooter right here. We keep going. This highlights, let me open this in a new tab so you I won't do it because this one does it through HTML. But in this particular photo, I wonder if I can zoom in for you guys. Let me try doing that. Yeah, there we go. So in this particular photo, you guys see the security guards and the security team for Charlie Kirk. So these people have been getting mentioned in a lot of videos. This kind of highlights these people all in one photo. And then obviously behind the speaker over here to the far left is a guy with the white hat and the white t-shirt, which we'll get into that a little bit later. We keep going. So this would have been the viewpoint, and there's going to be actual video where I show you guys this same image, but without the chaos. This would have been where that right side camera, the guy in white was. This would have been the vantage point looking up towards the direction of the shooter. As we continue on, this is immediately following Charlie Kirk being shot. He's on the ground. You see campus police coming in from behind the canopy. You see the one that has a square around him above Charlie. He's on the radio. You see the security team. A couple guys have guns out. Now, in here particular, what I want you guys to notice is right here. You guys can't see my mouse, but the square that is covering the police officer to the right to the right of that square is a camera system. Now, this is a high-speed camera. Right to the top left of that same white square, above everybody's head, is another camera recording system. We're going to show you more, but just remember, you have 2 cameras there that were documenting this scene that have way higher quality footage and frames per second than all the footage that we've seen from mobile cameras. And that's
there's one behind him.
And yeah, I'll be showing that one too, because of something that ended up happening with that one, which blows my mind. But the reason these cameras are important is because chances are at least one of these probably had it set to maybe like 2,000 frames per second, or at least a higher frame percentage to capture the bullet. As we keep going, again, this shows the egress route, 7 being the shooter's position, and then jumped off the roof 9. Now here in this video, let me rewind it. Let me bring it back. So right here, you guys can't see my mouse on screen. Now you can. So on the top of the building, so this main building that's in front of us right here, and then you have the smaller building on top, and then on top of that, you have like a design molding. So you have 3 floors that we can see. The first floor with the grass, the second floor, and then that third floor, which is just some type of, like, I don't know, atrium or design. Well, to the building that's in the middle, that actual second floor, at the top left of the top left corner, you see a little subject. That's right there. That's the shooter. Can you kind of see where I'm tracking at, Josh?
Yep.
Okay. So what you're going to see, what I want everybody to pay attention to, is he's going to run behind this building right here, but you're actually going to see him through the glass on the second half of this building before he comes around the corner. So I'm going to let this play out once, and then I'm going to express a question that I have here. But here we go. Let me hit play. So right there, you can actually see his legs running behind. Yep. He comes around the corner. He's running through. He gets onto the lower little part right there.
I got a question about that.
And he drops down. Now, is your question the rifle?
Well, the rifle, but my actual question is, how did he get up there?
So the way he got up there, here, let me go back over here.
Because he didn't jump 9 feet.
Yeah. So the way he went up there is, so this area where we saw him drop the number 8 right here, remember that. So let me go back to this frame up here. And I'm going to show you guys through some Google Maps and stuff you'll see. So I'll let you guys see this real quick. So this is the area. This is right there. Let me, this one doesn't pause. You see where it says where he shot from?
Yep.
So let me keep going. And like I said, I'll have another video I'm going to show you. So here we go. So right here where it says number 5 is, and it says scene side and side, that's that corner of the building where he jumped. So this is him getting to that location. So from 5, he goes across that area, and this walkway right here, when you scale the railing that's over here, that railing then allows you, because there's access there. Well, if you go off the railing, which is, it's an area you're not supposed to go to, but if you jump off the railing, it allows you to jump on the roof of this area over here. Once you're on that roof, it's very easy to get onto that roof right there. So that's how he did that part. And like I said, I'll show you guys some other videos of that, but let me keep going. So right here, I've looked at this video so many times. Now, what I want to point out here is when you look at him get here,
you kind of see an outline of something straight inside the jacket.
Yeah, because both his legs are fully bent right there in that frame. I know it's hard for you guys to see. If you want to screenshot it, zoom in later. Both his legs are bent. So he does not have the rifle in his pants at this point. Now, he did come into the shooting location, but I'm talking about egress route. So then he comes here. He lowers himself there. Whatever's in that towel. Now, right there, what I will say is, you see how it comes up? This is an
extension protruding.
It's an extended protrusion of that object. This is the only thing that makes me say, okay, a regular towel, shirt, or sweater is not going to protrude up in the air like that. It's soft. So this specific frame at 21 seconds, if you guys want to go look at it on your own TVs for a little bit higher quality, this is the only frame that makes me believe that there's a weapon system. And then from there, it's really grainy, because then that sweater, whatever he has, is, he goes down, he hits, and there is something that looks like a rifle right there. If you look at his hands when it hits the ground, it does. Now, he picks up. Now, from that point right there, I struggle seeing him carrying a rifle. It might look a little right there because it's protruding, horizontally, like he's holding it from like the middle area where the scope is. You can see it. But they stopped that at that frame right there. Now, my question here is, why stop on these frames? I know there's another camera people have seen on the actual one where it goes a little bit further. But here's my main concern. They started at this frame right here. Now, we know that this camera obviously covers this part of the roof where the alleged shooting took place from. So, A, they could show us the video of him going into the prone position, like described in the probable cause of declaration. And 2, why not show us him getting up and running to this position over here? I'm very curious, because that would answer so many questions from people. Obviously from this angle, he's shooting toward Charlie Kirk, so we wouldn't see a muzzle flash from this. I mean, possible depending if he had like a muzzle break on it, something like that, but chances are, especially with this footage, very unlikely. So that is that part. So do you have any comments or questions about that? And then I'm going to get the next thing.
Nope, let's move forward.
Okay.
I'm getting excited about my part.
All right.
I saw a post that came out, and it's gonna blow your fucking mind.
All right. So here we go on to Google Earth right here. And if we're here on Google Earth, we come over here, and this is where I was talking about. You can come up this access way, and then from there, if you jump over this railing, you can actually get onto the roof from there, which allows you to get onto the roof from there, which allows you to get over here, which then lets you come straight over here to this corner, which is where he took his, this right here is where the other camera video I'll show you guys from a civilian shows him proned out. And then from other videos, we see from someone that's in a restaurant place over here, you see this guy get up, run across here. That camera stops videoing him. And then right here is where the surveillance video we saw picks him up, and then he starts running across over there. Now, if we go over here, so I believe there's another way for me to get on here. There we go. That's what I want, those circles. So let me click onto this one. Turn this around this way. So down here behind, we're inside the building here. So down here is where Charlie Kirk's giving his speech. If you look up here, this flag where my little mouse is circling, this shows you the vantage point where the shooter was shooting from. That's that little part of the building that sticks out. Here's his vantage point. So
Gotcha.
My question was there anything obstructing him from here to there? And from there, you can tell, no, he had a clear view of to shoot. Now, if we go here to this particular one, again, this shows you from the ground level. This will show you, this is raised from Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk's right here in this area. And then if we come over here, this shows you up here, this top corner, again, would have been the shooter's vantage point. So, and then there's one more I want to show you guys, which is a little closer to Charlie. I think it's this one. Yes. So this shows when the flowers are in season. And then this one's blurry, but up here on behind this tree is where you would see that shot. And then obviously,
Gotcha.
Charlie Kirk there. So let me actually go to the skies just so you guys can see it one more time. So here it is, Charlie Kirk right here where the Hall of Flags is, shooter in this elevated position, clear line of sight. So let me pull that off. And showed you that, showed you guys that. Now I want to show you guys this video. And this is the video of the suspect arriving.
That's the intro video.
That's our intro. How about I share it so you guys can see this? Okay, here we go. So this is residential camera right here. I believe this one came from TMZ. And you're going to see him coming across. And actually, Meyer, that's him after he's changed and he's leaving the scene of the crime.
Right.
The one where he's showing up, he actually has a funny gait. So let me show you guys that one. Okay, here's the one with him showing up. Let me bring this up on the screen for you guys to see. Okay. And so now you guys will see, let me lower this. So now you see how he has that dragging that right foot. So we know that the rifle was never disassembled. I know there was a lot of questions and speculation out there about him assembling and disassembling it.
But they got the screwdriver with his DNA on it.
They
said it this morning. And what was the screwdriver for? It was for disassembling so it was a Remington 700, not a Mauser. Remington 700 30-06. Well, Alpha, guess what hunting rifle that I have right in my safe? a Remington 700. And I've never once used a screwdriver.
It's funny you say that because I have a Remington 700 as well. mine's a 308.
Mine's a 30-06.
So, but it's the same situation. I've never had to use a screwdriver outside of changing, well, we won't even get into the conversation, but right here in these two photos, let me bring these up. This shows the two main crime scenes. To the left, obviously, you see the one with Charlie Kirk. It has crime scene tape all around it. And then to the right, you see they have crime scene tape up on that. I don't know if that's a vent or part of an AC system, and then the tape going across. So obviously there's something over there besides just the molding. So just very curious to that. And we're going to get into the videos, folks, but I want to lay out all the, I hate to say the boring stuff, but the stuff that is important. Again, the video that I was referencing from inside that shows the guy running across the roof. This is him getting up as he's going across the roof over there. So with that, we are now going to get into the stuff that's a little bit more graphic. So, and then, and then we'll get into these videos. Okay. So there's 3 videos, folks, that I'm going to play. It's the up close video, and then the video from the left angle from Charlie Kirk, and then from the right angle of Charlie Kirk. The right angle one is the less gruesome. The up close one and the left one are like I said, they are very graphic. So I am going to play the warning graphic content real quick, and then when we come back, we will cover that. This will give you guys a chance to listen audibly and not watch visually if you don't want to. All right. And the reason I share that, folks, that Josh is a vet. I'm a vet. We've seen some things in our life we don't want to, but I also understand not everybody has been subjected to, carnage and graphicness, let alone death, let alone the death of someone that a lot of people like. And that's why I've kind of been very redundant. I'm sure there'll be people that complain, but that's okay. So the first video that I'm going to bring is the one from up close, and I'm going to rewind it right here real quick, and I'm going to let it play out in its totality. And then after that, I'm going to go through slow motion. So again, this is going to be very graphic, folks, but this is going to show the whole thing, and then we're going to talk about it. So here we go.
Not counting gang violence. Great. Not counting.
Okay, so now I'm going to mute this. Now, first thing I want to bring up is, because now we're into the assassination part, right? Well, we'll stick to what we see here. If you see right here, you guys can't see my mouse on the screen through this option of showing the video. If you see where the F, the word freedom is on his shirt. If you see the word F and you go up, you see the mic that's on his shirt, but then you also see the top angle shape of a plate carrier. That's what we're looking at. As a matter of fact, let me see something real quick. Now we'll stick to the way we're going here. But you see the plate carrier. Now this is what we're going to combine part 3 and 4 here. It'll just be easier to flow this way. So we're going to do the evidence and then the theories and debunking stuff all in 3 and 4 together. It'll just be easier, and it allows you to jump in here with questions and statements. So you see the plate that's on his shirt. Well, you see the microphone that he has right there. And for those that are unfamiliar, because I have one of the Digimics, this is the most popular one that content creators use. And a lot of people say, well, why does he have a mic on his shirt if he has one that he's holding? And do you know the reason for this, Josh?
Separation of audio for different feeds. So a
100%.
live feed that they're probably doing, YouTube, something like that.
100%. That's what it is. So this right here is a Digimic. And what you guys can't see right here, let me take this off, this is a little magnet. This little magnet goes on the inside of the shirt and then clips to this. And that's all that's holding this little microphone that's on here. And sometimes you guys will see people that have like a little fluffy thing on it, but that's it.
Yep.
It's either I'm pretty confident it's probably a Digimic because, like I said, it's one of the most popular ones.
It has been confirmed that it was a Digimic
Okay.
that was inside of his shirt and the magnet was on the outside.
On the outside. Okay, that works too. So, but I want everybody to get your hand and put it in your chest right here. So come off your chair if you guys are sitting on the couch, kind of sit up and just put your hand here and then just push against your chest. Just push your fingers against your sternum like that. Now, as you're doing dead center, just push against your chest. Now, as you're doing that, pay attention to the balls of your shoulders. As you're pushing into the sternum, what do the balls of your shoulders do? They roll in.
Yep.
Now, if somebody was behind you and they pushed on your spine, so they pushed against you, the balls of your shoulders would roll out. It's a common motion. It doesn't matter. You go and do it to someone, your husband, your wife, your kid, when you push them, it's going to roll in. So now what I want you guys to do is, it's not going to be no audio. I'm going to stop it before it gets to the graphic part. The really graphic part, where the blood comes out. I want you to pay attention to his shoulders and tell me what you see his shoulders. Do they roll in or do they roll out? You guys tell me. So here we go. It's going to be right after you put, all right. So then right now the round's going to be coming in, and watch his shoulders. Right there. That's rolled in. Those are rolled in shoulders. So this is the simplest explanation out of all the explanations that I'm going to provide tonight, of that this is a front impact.
Yep.
This is not an impact from the side. This is not an impact from the rear. Physically impossible to be from those locations, given the way the body's response is here.
And if everybody goes back to JFK's assassination, the biggest argument was the Zapruder film was back and to the left, back and to the left. Why? Because physics doesn't lie. If he was shot from behind by Oswald, it would have been forward and down, forward and down. JFK's head went back into the left, which means that he was shot from the grassy knoll or someone in the pothole, which we've heard before in different theories. In this context, when you're watching Charlie Kirk, what's happening is you can see the shirt puff up and the shoulders roll in and back, frontal impact, as in he's catching something up.
And what I'm going to do in order to allow me to make this, oops, that's not what I want to do.
And guys, I've looked, being Alpha over the last few days, we've looked over every single analysis, left side, right side, shooter behind him, shooting him in the neck. I even posted a former Marine sniper's video earlier. The best explanation video I've seen on the ballistics trajectory was from former Green Beret Gary Mellon from Precision Tactical, and he laid it out. And I think that's what Alpha is probably going to go into next is this whole perspective of what actually happened, why the entry wound is not an exit wound, and why it's gaping with blood and all of that.
All right. Sorry, I'm realizing doing it in StreamYard, it's not letting me do things that I was doing on my normal desktop, but improvise and adapt. So here we go. Again,
Paramount Technical. Thank you, Paramount Technical.
So here we are zoomed in. So I'm gonna stop it before we get into the graphic part. But just right here, you can already see the top part of the plate. Think of like a farmhouse or a roof. You can see the top part of the plate that's on his chest. And I'm going to give you guys another angle that confirms absolutely that he's wearing a plate. But here we go here, and I want to show you guys something. So when his hand drops, you're going to see the entire plate move as one piece in the front of his body. As I go through this slow motion right here, you're going to see the impact. His shoulders are going to roll forward. There is shoulders roll forward and in. And you actually see the bottom of the plate and the whole plate move in unison.
Yep.
And right there, you can actually see the two sides of the plate. One along the R and the one coming from like his left armpit down towards the mic. You can literally see solid straight line pieces of the plate right there. And then right there, you can see the bottom of it. That is not consistent with the wrinkles of that is, and it's the same size that a plate would be. So now what I want you to pay attention to is look at his shirt. So you're looking at the DOM. In the word freedom, you're looking at the DOM, the DOM part. And what you're going to see is you have impact, shoulders roll forward, but his shirt is popping out towards the direction of the person asking him the question. And then this part of his shirt right there is going up. Now you're probably asking why and how's that possible? I've heard John Colin come out and said that this is the internal microphone. It is not the internal microphone that would do that because it's a magnet and it's wireless. Two, the headpiece that's over there is on his ear. There's another video I'm going to show you guys that shows the earpiece actually popping off. But I'm going to show you exactly what is causing this. Go ahead while I get the other video.
I was going to say what's causing it, and it actually. Go ahead, do your explanation. I'll jump in if I think that I can explain it.
So what we'll do is rather than me tell you guys, I am going to show you guys. So give me 1 second. I'm going to bring up.
It's the same reason you see the plate pop out.
Yep. I'm going to bring up 3 videos to show. 2 of them are fairly quick. And this is very important.
Force of impact and trajectory, velocity, and the vector of which it hit produces it.
Actually, there's 4 videos, but one I'm going to show towards the end, but I'll get it up here anyway so you guys can see it. So the first video that I'm going to show here.
And by the way, Alpha, just so we can clarify for the audience.
Go ahead.
People are saying there was no plate.
There is a plate. 100% a plate. 100%.
And we can show the back image that I showed you with it over. Yeah.
People can report all that they want that there's no plate. I'm telling you, I showed you the outline of a plate. And as a matter of fact, let me move this over here.
And I can probably pull up the image that I have. It's not back fat when you see it, right?
Yeah, it's not back fat at all. And I'm telling you, I've worn these things for a third of my entire life. So that's why you recognize them. But just because we assume a lot of people have seen plates, a lot of people think that they're, oh, it's like a military plate or, something like that. But here's just to give you a general idea of what these things look like. Here's an easy one to bring up. Let me open image in new tab. This will give everybody, that way we're not assuming, and I know there's a lot of people that are probably like, what the heck are you guys talking about? So here is a plate, front plate. This is what it would look like. And this is what I'm talking about, that little house area shape that's to it. So now that we got there, and I'll pull that off so we don't continue with that. Let me make sure I'm back to where we needed to be over here. We'll go back to that. So now I'm going to bring up this video, and I'm going to show the longer one of the 2 videos. This video is, I think it's like 2 minutes, but I'm going to let it play in its entirety. Nothing graphic about this. This is a guy shooting a 30-06 at a level 4 plate. And the reason we know that this is a level 4 plate is because a 30-06 round would go through a level 3 or anything smaller. Mm-hmm. And there would have been, we would have seen an exit wound, or if not, we would have seen the back part of his back pop off a little bit different, because if he had a plate on the rear, which he does, but it's a soft armored plate. Anyways, we'll go into that a little bit later, but I'm going to let this entire video play. I'm going to go full screen with it. And then I'm going to go to 2 specific parts that I want you guys to see here. And I think you guys will probably figure out why. So I'm going to go full screen with this real quick.
Hey everybody, this is Buffman on the range today with Assistant. We have a new manufacturer's body armor to test. This is Katie, or CATI armor. Seen a lot of their stuff on Facebook. Contacted them to get some samples. Today we have their level 4 plate. So as always, we got to find stuff to test against level 4, because that's like the pinnacle of body armor, at least for us civilians. So what are we going to test? We're going to test 9mm like every other boring YouTube channel does. Not. Today we're going big, or we're going home. We're going right up to 30-06 M2 AP. I'm actually doing a collaboration with Andrew from the Chopping Block. We're going to do a Allied versus Axis power. I've got the 30-06 M2 AP, and he's got some 8mm AP or API that he's going to shoot against. Our setup for today, we're going to be at 45 feet. That's the NIJ standard for rifle threats. We have our chronograph. It was reading. We have our clay briefcase that we will strap the body armor onto, and we'll take a shot and see what's going to happen. Our ammunition for choice today for M2 AP will be FN manufacturer from 1968. Got our double cantilever there in our black paint. I've cut these open before and verified these are actually armor piercing. Our Springfield M1 Grand will be our gun today. Let's rock and roll. Velocity was 25.99. So we took one shot. We're going to take a second just to see how well this plate holds up, and then we'll go down range and take a look at what we've done. Velocity was 25.74. There you go. So here's our plate, everybody.
So I'm going to rewind it. This is what you saw happen in his shirt. So let me kill the volume and let's take it back to right here. So if you guys look at this, wish I could do it slow. You see that? He's hitting it from the front. It penetrates the armor and you see that explosion as it hits the plate. Well, if a t-shirt's above that, that's why you see the shirt coming up and out. For those that are saying that he's not wearing a plate, he is. Now, I have watched, and we're gonna watch something else. We're gonna watch two more here too, and the other ones are quick. But why I want to point this out, I've spent the last 3 days looking at. I've probably seen somewhere between 60 plus videos out there of 30-06 versus ballistic plates. When it hits anywhere in the center, Josh, you see impacts and back blasts.
Yep.
But the plate holds up well. I shit you not, Josh. Every video I saw where it hits the exterior of the plates pop and explode like that.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, it has to. It's got to disperse the energy. And that's how it works. I mean, because it's a ceramic overcoating, and that ceramic fractures, and it's got to expend the energy somewhere so it doesn't go inward. And what they're made to do is go outward like this.
Yeah, process of least resistance. And I see in the chat you were saying, hole in the shirt. Like, folks, this is the first thing you guys got to understand. Hold on. And you don't have to take my word for it. You can, he'll come. Oh, I don't think you could hear me anymore. So he's going to jump back in. I'll wait for him to jump back in because I want to make sure he hears what I got to say too, folks. So let's wait for Josh to come back in. Hope he's coming back in. So if he's not, we'll run the show. He's not back yet. Well, here we go. Oh, here you go. Okay, he's back. All right. I wanted you to hear this part. People need to understand something. Is one, I've seen people shot 5-6 times with rifles. And no, the holes aren't obvious. It's not like the movies, folks. It's not. It's until you're close and up there or you're stretching them out, you see it. The other thing is this is cell phone video. Cell phone video that's probably 30 frames per second, maybe 60 frames per second. It's blurred, it's pixelated. People when they're downloading it, these videos are compressing. There's a reason.
It's called repixelation.
The repixelation. Thank you. There's a reason that black microphone looks like it's a hole or something like that, and why people didn't know what it is. Especially with white. Yes, folks, with white, you're not going to see this stuff as readily available as it's just camera phones. The video are just not that great, no matter how sophisticated your phone is, especially when you're zooming in, which is a lot of the angles that these shirts took. Now, go ahead, Josh.
Yeah, so Gary Melton of Paramount Tactical. I had it wrong earlier. We're on YouTube. People tag him because he's awesome. I love his analysis. He actually was contacted by somebody close to Charlie after his analysis. And this is what they texted him. And so, Alpha, if I could just pull this up real quick.
Yeah, here, let me pull this off real quick.
This is what they texted him. Charlie wears his vest pretty much all the time now. I've heard Erica insist, but he refers to his favorite vest as being stealth. When I have confirmed 100%, I'll let you know. And Gary definitely 100% believes that he was wearing a vest. And when you start to look at all of this, it all adds up that he's wearing a very thin plate level 4 type of armor, which do exist are really, really expensive.
Yeah, just for the record, this video is from, I believe, 6 years ago or 9 years ago. I have a level 4 vest. Well,
We got one right here.
I still need to get back from the FBI. And mine is probably a little more than a half inch.
Yeah, about a half inch.
Yeah, it's very, very comfortable, very, very lightweight. And a whole show on that. So a lot of these vests are older videos, so they look a little bit thicker. But even then, you guys, another thing, you guys, and like I said, I'll show you some more stuff. Charlie is a very skinny guy. A very, very skinny guy, folks. So when he wears a plate, even with a plate, he still probably looks thinner than me and Josh. The other thing is that whether you're wearing one that's on a loose vest or whether you're wearing one that's a vest shirt, which it's actually like a form-fitting shirt that holds the vest in there to hold it closer to your body. Either way, when I bring his video back up, you are going to see this shape. But the part I want you guys to pay attention to here is what happens when this bullet strikes the top of this plate, because this is the exact location, except on the other side. This hits the top left of the plate. We know it hits the top right of Charlie's plate. This is exactly what you're seeing happening in Charlie's shirt. And then I'll tell you what I believe happened next. So here we go. So here he flips it upside down so he gets a clean shot. And you see the same thing happens. It blows that thing up. And then right here, he's showing the damage of the plate. And then he's just using the gauge to show how much of the impact. Now, let me pull that one off. And now I want to show you another one. This one's real quick, so I'll just play it in its complete. It's like 10, 15 seconds.
Fortis level 4, 30 caliber AP armor piercing rounds.
This is a half an inch from the edge. That is just mind blowing how incredible that is.
So now, granted, this is armor piercing. So you're seeing, going all the way, fully through. But you're seeing even when these plates are struck on the end of it, there's debris that fires up. Look at this dummy's face. So now this is how I'm going to show you guys that if he was not wearing a vest, this is what you guys would have saw right here. And this is not a human person, just so everybody understands. This like a shoulder roast or something like that.
We'll take a shot at the pork shoulder with the 30-06. We kind of use the 30-06 for a baseline in this video. It's been around for over 100 years. Everyone knows what it's capable of. It can take down every animal probably on this entire planet. Pretty much ripped his shoulder right in half.
So again, if he was not wearing a vest and he took the shot to the neck with a 30-06, your neck is not this thick or strong. And again, look, folks, this is what happened to this pork shoulder roast.
Now
let me kill the volume and we'll go in slow motion. So if you think he was not wearing a vest, right, and that this is what I'm about to explain what happened, you don't think, and he took a shot directly to the neck, you would, and for those that have been in combat, you guys can talk to CanCon. He's seen someone get hit. I don't think it was a 30-06. I think it was a 7.62 round to the neck, and he can describe for you guys how graphic that is. The wound on Charlie's neck is not an exit wound, folks. So here's a couple of things that we'll get into with that. Is when a round, especially a high velocity round, and here, let me get these off just so it's easier for you to see. I'm going to leave the one in here, but I'm going to take these others off. And I'm actually going to bring up the one of Charlie right here.
Now people are saying it wasn't a 30-06, and that a lot of people are thinking it was a 9mm or 45. And we also need to reiterate that because the exit wounds of those weapons are actually going to be pretty big if he was shot from the other side.
All right, hold on. I'm trying to figure out which one. Let me reshare this one more time, brother. I got so many videos in the studio. Josh can see what the mess that I'm working with right now.
Yes, it is a mess.
Okay, here we go. So let me bring this up. So again, I'm going to take it back so you can see the shape. Right there, you can see the arch. Now, here's the other thing that I find very interesting is his mic right there, the magnet part, is not laying flat like against his shirt. It actually looks like it's against the edge of the top part of that roof part of the plate.
Yep.
It looks like he's sitting there, which would make sense because it'd be more comfortable if you had it mounted there than not. But if we go through slow motion again, you're going to see, remember that explosion you saw with the 30-06 hitting the plate carrier? And now you're going to see that happen when, right there. This is what's happening in his shirt. So if you see right here above his left ear, this is the earpiece that's flying off right here. And there's a side angle, you'll see that at as well. But here's the earpiece that's falling off. Here's like one of the last two frames you see of the microphone still being on there, the magnet, and then that thing is going to launch. And here's the debris. Now, knowing that it hit the top part of that vest, and now all of us witnessing with our own eyes the videos that I showed you guys of 30-06 versus a level 4 plate, this is what's happening on top of his shirt. One of two things killed Charlie here. Either a part of the bullet fragmented, like we've seen in all these videos, fragmented and tumbled and hit his throat, or actually some of the material from his vest fragmented and hit his throat. Now, for those wondering, the wad round on a shotgun will make holes through people's shirts and sweaters and things like that, for those that are familiar with the wad in a shotgun. The debris flying out at that velocity, this is why you have a significant size hole in his neck. If it was a rifle round, a bullet round, a 30-06 round, that entrance wound is not going to be any bigger than a dime. It'll be smaller than that. It's a very small entrance wound. Your exit wound, that's the cavity that is huge. Now, the 30-06 going through, if it was a direct hit to the neck, you would have saw the bone structure, everything in the back of his head blown off. Like, it would have been far more graphic than what we're witnessing here. What you're seeing here is when the round, either the round or the fragmentation from the vest, if it's the round tumbled. And, it'll roll, so don't think a ricochet where it hits think, and it goes like that. The vest stopped a lot of the force of that round. That's why you see that explosion inside the shirt of the vest right there. And then, like I said, you get that fragmentation that hits in the neck. And then you see the blood, that pours out in the following images. Now, the reason I think that it was fragmentation or the vest is, and not a direct ricochet, is one, obviously the vest did its job by absorbing some of that impact. And two, if it would have just been a clean ricochet, you still would have had an exit wound with the velocity. This round's traveling anywhere from 2,500 to 3,000 feet per second, depending on, how much grain, how hot that load is. So even on a ricochet, that entrance wound is still going to have an exit wound. So I think it was either fragmentation or the round tumbled and went in his head and just shredded his brain. My personal opinion is I think he was dead on impact, because of what it did inside his head.
You can actually see that is when he raises his arms up. Yeah. That is the first sign that the brain has been disconnected from the rest of the body. There's a lot of other speculation out there that it came from his left side, went through his ear and exited out his throat, and that it was potentially a 223 or something of that caliber. I entertain all possibilities.
Well, I will show both angles of his head. So actually,
Right.
we'll do that.
But I mean, when we look at the video, for everybody out there, at least from my perspective, when we look at the video, the context of the impact does show frontal impact.
Yeah. If he would have got hit by a 223 or 5.56 round, which is, you know, the what we use in the military, the M4, the AR body platforms, if he would have got hit in his right ear,
blew his ear off.
His head right there, his head's going back and forth.
Yeah.
It's not deviating one side or the other.
Yep.
So there's no way this is a direct impact to the head, because a pistol round.
And actually play that back
round,
real quick, because I want people to see this. See how the head arches down? Now, what they're saying is that it came downward from his ear. So, what you would have saw is you saw the head
went like this.
Yeah, you would have seen motion in the head like this. But you actually that neck actually stays pretty straight on impact. At least this is what I'm observing, right?
It is 100%. The other thing too is you see his head go this way. Again, you know, it's physics. If you get hit in the back of the head, you know, or to the side, like Josh said, you're going to see it this way. If you get hit from the front, it's going to push the head like this.
And another key point to what Alpha's saying is if you look at Charlie's cheeks, they're pulled back. And the reason the fat on his face is pulled back is because of the compression impact that occurs right here. The force of impact. Because it's pulling him back. Excuse me. I gotta get some water.
Get some water, brother. So again, I'm gonna stop. Again, now this part I'm gonna play is gonna be graphic, but I'm gonna show you why this is not an exit wound. So we're gonna see the blood come out here. And what you're gonna see here, you see this? This is blood coming out like a fountain. Right there. And I know that's graphic and I know that's gross, folks. If that's an exit wound, you're going to see spray. Yep. Now, after that initial spray and the blast comes out, you'll see what you're seeing there on the fountain.
Yep.
You'll see that. But what you see initially, that's the jugular, the carotid, all the soft tissue and the organs that are going there, all that got shredded, and then the blood's just pouring out. If the consensus is this injury that we're seeing on his neck is an exit wound, you would have saw a blast come out because the projectile's coming out. You wouldn't have seen fountain. You would blast first, then a fountain. And I'm talking a blast, like, because we're talking even if you guys wanted to say it was just a pistol round or a 223 5.56, you know, not a 30-06, you still would have seen blast, and then you would have seen the fountain following. Here, what you're seeing is immediately pouring out. This is an entrance wound that's made from, like I said, either a tumbling fragmented bullet or actually from parts of the vest that created that injury. And that's why that injury there is significant in the size that it has, not as an exit wound. Now, let me pull this off. We're going to go to one of the side videos now. So let me get this off. I'm going to do it the same way I did for these so I can have better control of it. And then
Alpha, let me show a different angle here, because you can kind of see the physics of the motion.
Yeah, go ahead. It's yours. I'm bringing up the
okay. Give me a
camera
second.
right now.
Pull this real quick. And this is a side view, so this would have been Charlie's right side, and you're going to see the cable connected to his earpiece. And you watch which direction that goes in. It's right there by his hairline, and it moves backwards.
Oh, right? we have the same one.
Oh, is it okay?
Perfect.
So it goes backwards, but look at the force momentum of Charlie. He goes backwards, then back and sideways to the right. If this was a force impact from the right side, his motion would have went in that direction of the momentum of the bullet, the velocity of the bullet, right? And the fact that you see, and by the way, people are saying that his ear was bleeding. I want to give you an idea why his ear is bleeding. He has an earpiece in, and it's violently ripped out by the force of the impact. Okay? So, in the force of the impact is what? Back and to the left. Because When he was hit center mass right here, back and to the left, it was more centered to the little bit to the left, and that bullet and the vest fractured, went into the neck.
And I have a theory why it was off to the left just a little bit too. I'm going to bring up that same angle you had. I have it zoomed in. Nope, wrong one.
Yeah, and ballistic pressure could have easily ruptured the eardrums. Agreed.
So again, just to show these things that Josh is talking about here is he's going to put down the mic. So right here, let me scoot over this way a little bit more so you guys can see it better. Right there's the earpiece flying off his ear. So there's the earpiece going off. And he's going. If it was an impact from this direction, his head is going to go. You would have seen his head going, and it doesn't.
Back into the left. Remember, back into the left. Back into the left.
100% consistent. There's the earpiece. Let me take this frame off now and get the other one. And this one's graphic too. Yeah, this one is, but there's a couple of things in this one. So I'm going to play it in its normal size first. Let me bring it up so you guys can see. And then I'll zoom in afterwards. So here goes one time. This one's graphic. I'm going to play it one time full through, folks. Think of all the stuff we talked about just to bring it all together. Shoulders rolling forward, the explosion in the shirt, the direction of the head going, all that stuff. Keep all that in mind as you see this video play out right here. Again, this is graphic.
It's not up.
So, you know how many transgender Americans have been mass shooters over the last 10 years?
Too many.
Okay, now 5 is a lot, right? I'm going to give you some credit. Do you know how many mass shooters there have been in America over the last 10 years?
Counting or not counting gang violence?
Great.
So now I'm going to kill the volume. I'm going to take it back. So first thing first, anyone that's familiar with wearing vests, here's another angle from the front where you see the flat part that doesn't mimic the human contour of the front torso right there. And anybody that's wearing these vests, you guys see what I'm talking about. But now as we go through this slow motion, look at his shoulders, because it's even more pronounced, the rolling forward and in here than from the front. You're going to see it right there. And you see the explosion of the shirt right here. And see how it's going up in the same direction, you know, as his neck's coming towards it. Yep. I think right there is exactly where either fragmentation or debris from the vest.
His neck goes immediately like this.
Immediately following that's exactly where that impact happened right there. And then the wound opens and it comes out right there. But you'll see right there. The other thing you'll see, we'll get into the other thing. Let me pull this off. Yeah, so I can take
the guy with the military. It looks like military. The sleeves rolled up is part of Charlie's security detail.
Yes, so I'm bringing
all these people have been identified.
Yeah, so the reason I'm bringing this up now, we're going to stop it before the gore, because I want to debunk these things right here. First one is guy in the white hat touching the brim of his hat. And then after he touches the brim of his hat, he goes to his nose.
Yeah, Dr. Turek.
Folks, let's just say for speculation's reason, let's just say he was given a symbol, the perception reaction time for when the round comes, it's way too fast because he's not even done with the movement. And then you got the guy that rubs his arm, that goes over here and he pulls his sleeve. That's not a hand signal. And how do you guys know? This is what I'll tell you guys to do. Go watch all the events. Or you don't have to watch them all. Go watch 5, 6, 7 events that are outdoors that Charlie's doing, and watch his security. And you're going to see all of them doing certain body movements, anything that could be interpreted as a hand signal, as well as them rubbing their hats. Multiple guys that do it. It's just a casual move that's out there. It's not. Another thing is on this video here, I'm going to play it with no volume. There's a part where it's freeze framed, and I think it's like right when the guy has his camera up. It's like right here. And you see right here, there's like a little thing in the air. And there's some people say, oh, it's the bullet. One, it's impossible for a camera to pick up a bullet that's flying over 2,000 feet per second. None of our cameras have the ability to pick that up. It's too fast. You have to have special equipment that would pick it up. Hence, during Trump's assassination, it was a camera specifically sped up for that speed that captures the bullet.
Yeah, the New York Times just decided to show up to their first ever Trump rally with a 20,000 frame per second camera that was placed directly in front of Donald Trump. I mean, what are the odds of that? And they never went to another rally after that.
100%. On top of that, you have this guy back here above Charlie's head with the white shirt. Actually, here, let me go back to that one camera so you guys can see my mouse on the screen. It'll make it easier for you guys to see. So we'll go back to this one. It's the same image anyways.
So someone said the tall guy behind Charlie is the same guy that was next to Trump. No, that guy next to Trump was Sean Curran, who is the current director of the Secret Service, and he was absolutely in Washington, D.C. that day. They just look very similar.
Here's the other thing. So this guy back here, we're going to address a couple. Like I said, we're going to debunk some stuff. This guy back here where my mouse is, the white shirt, people are like, if you see his hand comes up and it has a gun. First, there's no gun. So we will play it all the way through.
He's got a phone. Well, yeah.
So right here.
The kid in the white shirt.
Yeah. So here's.
Yeah, he's got a phone in his hand originally. Puts it in his pocket.
Yeah. So pay attention. Here's his hand's going to come up here. And he's going to push it with his other hand here. And I'm going to tell you guys what's absent. So right there, there's no metallic object in either one of his hands right there. None of his hands have it. And so right here, if that was his hands holding a gun, firing it, here's something we all would have seen: a muzzle flash.
You want to know what's something interesting about this as well? Because I've watched this and I watched that over and over and over again. Is the kid has a phone. In the longer video, he has a phone. He's like this, and then he goes like this. He puts the phone in his pocket and he brings his hands up and does this. I've seen this before with autistic kids. I don't know if you've ever noticed it, but some kids who have like anxiety disorder, social anxiety, they will clasp onto their hands and they'll shake them. Kind of what it looks like to me, but I agree that there's definitely no object in his hands.
100%. The other thing, it's absent a muzzle flash. Even if there was a suppressor, it'd be even bigger weapon system and you'd be able to see it. There is no muzzle flash that comes. Second, if he was holding a gun and we did see a muzzle flash, you're talking this guy over here, from when we've seen on other videos, from his position to Charlie is somewhere probably between 20 and 30 feet. Mm-hmm. Which with this guy here and this guy here, this guy in the black shirt and this lady to the right being in his vicinity, very difficult shot to make
from your chest level from this without aiming in it.
That's what I say. Without looking at the sights, you're literally just pointing from your chest. You're not even using the weapon system sights. Yeah. Now, the other thing that I've heard, didn't mean to zoom that fast, is this guy in the green shirt has a gun under his sleeve over here. Again, these are friends of Charlie's. But if this guy in the shirt is the one that pulled the trigger, right there, he has his hand tucked under his sleeve. If he pulled it, there's no recoil in his hand. So you see Charlie get hit, and there's no recoil in that guy's body movement. There's no muzzle flash in that guy's body movement. And you don't even see him holding a weapon like you would see a weapon system. And at that distance and that close, you absolutely will see a muzzle flash. Two, you're saying that he's making a headshot on Charlie's neck, and he's not even looking at Charlie. So he's literally, I'm talking about this guy right here, in case you guys are wondering, Josh. There's a lot of people saying that he has some type of like phone, credit card gun that's here. One, the smaller the weapon system, also, you're still going to see a muzzle flash. So it's not this guy here. It's not this guy here, and it's not this guy here. So none, and it's not from an upper distance. Again, because it was from an upper distance, you would see the exit wound, and then the body's, momentum movement would have been completely different. The other thing I was telling you guys when I started this, you see a thing that's flying here. So I'm going to forward this to the beginning of the video and pay attention. You guys are actually going to see a little blug that's flying around in the screen. So look at the screen, and you guys are going to see it. It's within the first like 5-6 seconds. You see the two bugs that were flying?
Yeah, there's one before, and then there's one by Charlie.
There's one. I don't even know if I'll be able to catch it on. Oh, look at right there.
Right there.
Right there. You guys see it? So you have, and it shows up a couple times too. Let me see if I. Right, you see it going up by the guy in the black shirt right here.
Yeah, the white and guy, the white and black, and yep, exactly.
And so this is the stuff that we are seeing. We're not seeing, like I said, these phones don't have that. They're not built to capture a bullet flying at that velocity. Maybe if it was a 45 or something like that, maybe it would be debatable there. But anybody that's shot a 45 at long distance and you're really good at it, you can actually see those soup cans flying down the range. There's no way you're going to see a rifle round or anything like that. Let me take that off the screen. I'm about ready to hand this over to you, but I want to show a couple more things.
Here we go.
Okay, here's what I wanted to show. Let me bring it back on screen one more time. Okay. Let me pause it. Actually, am I showing? No, I'm sharing the wrong one. That's why I can't show it. Sorry, folks. Trying to do this as fluid as possible. There we go. Let me bring it back up. Okay.
He's got his good glasses on.
Let me see. Is this the right one? Yeah, this is the right one. Okay. So now I'm going to zoom in here. Anybody that's ever worn a vest, your back does not sit like this when you're up against a chair. Anybody that's been in law enforcement, has family that's in law enforcement, have them come over to your house for dinner, sit back on a chair, and guess what their back's going to look like on that chair? Like that.
Fat blobs over the chair.
Yeah. One, Charlie ain't even, we know Charlie's skin and bones. So he's not hefty like me and Josh, right? And what you're seeing here is a perfect curve to a vest with a hard, sharp angle over it. And that's because that's the way the vest buckles when you sit back on a chair. And I've, like I said, anyone that's ever worn these vests, you've seen it when it happens. You've seen it to your partners, even police officers that have soft carriers under them. In the back, you see them do it. 100%. You see that. Okay. Can't argue that part.
Woo! All right, guys, are we ready? So, what we just showed you is that whatever shot Charlie, it was a high-powered, high-capacity rifle round, frontal impact. There was most likely hit his plate, and that pieces of the plate or the bullet are what hit the impact and caused a tear in his carotid artery, then potentially went into his brain, almost killing him on impact. All of the other conspiracy theories out there, they're really easy to disprove when you start to look at all different angles and you start to bring things together. Now, the reason we do that is because everything that we just showed you tonight was a psyop. That all of those different angles, all the different theories, all the different aspects of it were being utilized over the course of the last few days to distract you from what's actually happening in the world, of what's actually going on. Now, this is where it gets incredibly interesting. One thing that you probably noticed over the course of the last few days is, number one, some really big influencers coming out about a certain small country in the Middle East known as Israel. And it's not just, I mean, we're not talking small influencers. We're talking some of the biggest names in the conservative movement calling bullshit, even pointing the finger of blame at this country. Now, the question is why would they immediately point the finger of blame for Charlie Kirk's assassination towards this? So as this began to come out, you're like, the whole Israel thing, it's got to be a psyop. People are just trying to, throw the Israel did everything, right? It's the Jews. So I get it. But then you start to look at the compelling line of evidence. Certain things begin to happen. When you start to understand that this is a psyop wrapped in a psyop wrapped in a psyop. Now, what was the first news organization to report Charlie Kirk had been shot and Charlie Kirk's death? The Jerusalem Times.
Really?
The first. Number two, 30 seconds after Donald Trump releases that Charlie Kirk had been shot and killed, Netanyahu releases his statement. Guys, that timing right there was a message. Okay? Now, I want to give you a little context here before I get rocking and rolling on what I'm about to lay out in front of you. The Antifa label, all of this stuff. Why is Kash Patel going along with a cover-up? And absolutely 100% there is a cover-up in progress. This kid is a patsy. Do I believe he pulled the trigger? Yes. Do I believe that he was led there through psychological warfare and MK Ultra? I absolutely 100% do. This is an activated sleeper cell, and he was guided there for a specific reason, and there's even symbology behind this. Who was behind that? We're going to get into that, but I first got to lay a little foundation to everything I'm about to say. You have to go back a few days before Charlie Kirk's assassination. Some interesting things happened in the context of geopolitics. Donald Trump, on the night, I believe, of September 7th, put out a final warning to Hamas and said, you will release the hostages now. This is your absolute final warning. Immediately after this, Hamas leadership took to social media and to official channels and said, we are ready to talk. We accept your terms, the United States' terms. We are ready to talk. Immediately, Steve Witkoff and the Trump administration began setting up a place of negotiation for the United States and Hamas leadership to talk. That place was decided to be in Doha, Qatar. It was set to be 2 days later, which would have been September 9th. On September 7th, the day before the negotiations, a group of Palestinian terrorists stormed the streets in Israel and killed Israeli citizens. Now, Hamas has declined any involvement whatsoever in this act. And the timing of this terrorist event, considering that we haven't seen one since, October 7th inside Israel, is very sketchy. Now, if you go back to October 7th, there's a lot of questions to be asked. Who gave the stand down order? Charlie himself was quoted saying, hey, I took a helicopter from Jerusalem to the Gaza border. It's a 45-minute ride, okay? And when I got there, it's the most heavily guarded and armored border in the world. And he goes, Hamas, there's no way Hamas came over. Who gave the stand down order? Not only that, is why did they get the Hannibal Directive? The Hannibal Directive gives the IDF full reign to basically kill anybody they believe to be a threat, even Israeli citizens. And to this date, it's already been released by the IDF that over 33 people killed at the music festival were actually killed by the IDF through the Hannibal Directive. Okay? Now, since that time, obviously, Israel has committed acts of genocide. The United Nations Human Rights Council today, just came out and determined that Israel committed genocide against the Palestinian people as well as continue to commit genocide against them. That came out today. So understand that this is a very, very loaded issue. Now, why did October 7th happen? Well, number one, Egyptian President Al-Sisi warned Benjamin Netanyahu 2 weeks prior to the event of intelligence of a Hamas attack. Okay. Well, he had fair warning, and Hamas still came over the most guarded and heavily armed border and apparently kidnapped Israeli citizens and then took them back to the small little controlled territory, right, of the Gaza Strip and so forth. Doesn't make any sense. Well, one thing that people don't know is the Knesset, the parliament in Israel, was meant to meet the next day. And the vote was going to be a vote of confidence in Netanyahu or not. He didn't have the votes, which meant that he was most likely, the Israeli government would have been disbanded. Netanyahu would have been out of power, and then he was also facing criminal prosecution. Many people believe that Israel conducted a false flag operation on themselves so that Netanyahu could seize power and stay in power and control. Okay, little background. Now, Charlie kind of aligned a little bit with this being said. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. We're going to fast forward now back to current date. The day after the Palestinian attack in Israel, U.S. delegation was on their way to Doha, Qatar, to meet with Hamas leadership, which was at a government building in Qatar. Israel decided to send a missile directly into Qatar, a sovereign nation, and tried to kill and assassinate Hamas leadership. Now, there's conflicting reports. Israel claims that they told the United States of America an hour prior to it happening. Donald Trump came out today and vehemently said that never happened. That was bullshit. I found out the same way that all of you found out. Now, that right there, in context, I want to show you something because we've seen this before with Donald Trump. He just told you that he found out about Israel sending a missile to take out Hamas the same time that you, the American people, found out. But Israel claims that they contacted the United States of America. Interesting, right? Okay. Well, Hamas leadership didn't get completely obliterated or killed, but I want you to understand the perception ability, the optics of what Israel did. Israel used Donald Trump. They used his rhetoric and his power to put that tweet out there about Hamas saying, your last and final warning. Hamas comes forward, says we're willing to negotiate. It centralizes Hamas leadership. And the U.S. goes in thinking they're negotiating. And Israel betrays Donald Trump's trust and loyalty and sends a missile into an ally. Donald Trump has said Qatar is an ally into an ally's country. Okay? Now, this is pretty powerful. But what's more interesting is what happens the next day, the day after this. The morning of September 10th, the day Charlie was assassinated, Donald Trump takes Barron Trump out of NYU and brings him back to New York City under increased Secret Service protection and has him attending remote campus in Washington, D.C. with heavily guarded security. This is the morning of. That right there is a clear indication to you that there was an intelligence briefing. And in that intelligence briefing, there was chatter of some event happening that day in the context of someone important in the conservative movement or family member was going to get assassinated. There is no other reason in the world why Donald Trump did that with that specific timing. Okay? The next part of this.
Just in case people aren't tracking, and we talked about this, if President Trump received intel that his boy was a target, that explains all this, bringing him home.
Yep.
Why else would you bring him home under these circumstances and have him leave? So if you're not tracking what Josh is saying, this is what Josh is telling you.
And we got it from a really good source that Barron didn't just get on a train and go home. It was a security reaction, a security reaction team that actually went and got him. Okay? So this is a tactical Secret Service team that went and extracted him out of NYU in class and pulled him out. That doesn't happen because I just want Barron to come home today. That happens because there's active intelligence. John Solomon, after Charlie Kirk was assassinated, says that they're working on angles of foreign intelligence involvement, foreign intelligence chatter. We heard this originally. Even the FBI said that we're hearing things about foreign intelligence. Really important to understand. Now, Charlie Kirk gets assassinated. Now, there's a few other things. September 9th, something interesting, very, very interesting happens. This is the day before Charlie Kirk's assassination. Poland reports early in the morning of September 10th that Russian drones had entered Polish airspace, and they sent F-16s out there and they shot down the Russian drones. Now, how did they know that they were Russian drones? Because they were made in Iran. Now, here's the problem. Russia came out and said, those aren't our drones. We launched no drones in that direction or over Poland. Now, here's a little context to it. In the past, Russia has launched drones that briefly went over to the border into Poland and then came back into Ukraine. Every single time Russia has said, yep, they were ours. We apologize for violating your airspace. This time, Russia came out and said, those weren't our drones. That was not us. This immediately initiated by Poland Article 4 within the NATO treaty. Article 4 is where all the NATO nations come together in a group meeting and they decide whether to implement something known as Article 5. This is war, a declaration of war through an incursion or an attack on a NATO nation. Article 4 happens. European NATO members begin mobilizing troops and vehicles into Poland, which looked like they were setting up for a direct retaliation against Russia. At the same time that all this is happening, Trump comes out and condemns what Putin's doing. Putin better learn. He's going to learn the hard way. Colonel McGregor, Douglas McGregor, and I don't know if people respect him or not, and I don't care. A lot of his information I found to be highly accurate. He's got reports from people directly inside Ukraine that in southern Ukraine, there are settlements being built. The settlements that are being built are from various areas that were decimated by Russia. But the settlements being built are Israeli settlements. And he said that the people from these towns are trying to go back in, and they're not being let in because the Israeli settlers have created police forces, which are pushing all the guys out. Now, just take that in the context for a second. A few hours after the Russian incursion on Polish airspace, Israel puts a press release out condemning Russia's actions. What? It's the first time I've ever heard Israel ever say anything about Russia and Poland. Now, for a little reference point, where was Benjamin Netanyahu born? Poland? Just throwing that out there. Is that there is still a lot of Israel in Eastern Europe, specifically Ukraine and Poland. So keep that in mind. Okay. So next, let's just take this in the perspective. Who is war good for? Right? It's who controls the EU, right? It's the central banks. I think we all understand it's the central banks. Who runs the central banks? Not Israel, but it's the same Jews that run the financial institutions. Now, do you remember the Bela post by Donald Trump? The comms of Vladimir Putin? She's been warned, tend to comply, EU. He was talking about Ursula von der Leyen, the head of the EU. The EU contacts Trump that day, that Saturday, and says, hey, we'll be there in 2 days. They came out Monday. They all agreed, yes, let's have a ceasefire. It all works out great. Right?
Yeah.
And then he says,
it's why when the inscriptions on one of the bullets was Bella, Bella, Bella Ciao, it felt like somebody was probably sending a signal.
That's right. So what happens then? Trump puts out a message, says, oh, great. Me and Ursula are talking, and we're discussing the massive problem with human trafficking and the missing children in this world. Right? And everything looks good. Melania goes over there, talks with the European commissions. Then September 10th. And it's like everything collaborated to the morning of September 10th in Europe and September 10th, Barron being moved and then Charlie being assassinated. Because Ursula von der Leyen, the head of the EU, said that morning on September 10th, the time for this is verbatim. I memorized it. She goes, the time for nostalgia is over. Battle lines are being drawn for power in the new world order. Guys, that was a shot across the bow to Donald Trump. Think about all the events that just had happened. That was her saying, let's rock and roll. We're fighting back, and we're making our stand right now. We just drew the battle line because there's two competing new world orders. There's the Western European global order. That is the commune-fascist, technocratically oligarchical controlled new world order. And then there's the multipolar framework, which is Russia, Trump, China, Saudi Arabia, these guys, what they want in place. So all of that happened on September 10th. Now we go into Charlie Kirk's assassination. Immediate rumors start coming out that, hey, Israel might be involved. And what do we find in the aftermath? Bibi Netanyahu puts out this video blaming it on Islam. He talks about this note that he wrote to Charlie, or he had a phone call with Charlie, invited him to Israel. Now, why is this interesting? You didn't know over the last 6 months, Netanyahu has been trying to better the image of Israel in the United States, and he's been going on a lot of conservative podcasts. Well, he called Charlie and invited Charlie to Israel. Charlie declined. Now, Netanyahu said that unfortunately Charlie won't be able to come, as in he's insinuated that Charlie was going to come to Israel. But Charlie actually declined it. And everything that Bibi Netanyahu says in that video is a blatant lie. And people have come out and confirmed this. Now, I'm not going to get, and actually I can play a little context here, but I'm gonna go into a few other things first, right? Because we're just talking about the observation of what we're seeing, right? So immediately after this, we start seeing massive amounts of conservative accounts coming out there, immediately pointing the finger at the left, immediately pointing the finger at Antifa, and immediately saying Islamo and lefty terrorism, which is the same message that Bibi Netanyahu put out almost immediately after Charlie was assassinated. Then it got fucking weird, people. It got incredibly psyopy because it was almost like you were in an echo chamber of controlled information. Number one is confusion and contradiction all over the place. Conspiracy theories were getting massive trends all over the place. And that was being done on purpose because they wanted to distract you from what was actually happening. But immediately after, we began to see that there was a direct push by what I would call Zionist MAGA, right? People we know that are pro-Israel, to stand up on social media and say that we're going to step forward. We are all Charlie Kirk, Ben Shapiro being one of them, saying that I will take over the bloody mic. Now, just a few days prior to this, Charlie Kirk actually had a conversation with Ben Shapiro. It was one of his last. And 2 days before that, Ben Shapiro and Mark Levin were throwing Charlie Kirk under the bus as being an Israel hater. Kind of interesting there.
It's very interesting that he said the bloody mic too. What a poor choice of words on that.
Well, it wasn't. It was calculated. We all know Ben in the Mossad. How did he get out of October 7th on time? Because he was tipped off. That's why. So we start seeing this influx of information, but then we start hearing about the left that's celebrating online. And I get the emotion, people. Like, yeah, you know what? That person deserved to be fired. And you know what? They probably do. But they don't deserve to be fired because somebody went on the social media and created a database with their name in it and put that database out there for the whole public to see with their post and their picture and their name and potentially their address or email address. That's where we start to get in what's known as Blackleiter. Blackleiter is a German word that means the black leader. During the times of the Gestapo, the black leader would walk around town and he would find out all of the dirt which people are talking about and who is politically aligned with Nazism and who is not. And he would make a list and he'd hand it to the Gestapo would give it to the SS. And when Germany took over power and control, the first people that the SS went for were the people on those lists. And so I don't care that it wasn't a government list.
It's exactly what the sedition hunters were doing to us J6ers.
That's exactly. And here's the thing is people in the conservative movement were justifying it. And other people, inflamed by it, joined in. Well, here's the thing. That was coming out from Zionist MAGA. You have to start asking yourself why. Well, then Representative Clay Higgins of Texas. I don't have the post in front of me, but he put out a long diatribe, and he says that the people celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk's assassination need to be held accountable. He goes, I'm going to use all the power and influence of Congress to produce legislation to make sure that these people are banned for life on social media. Guys, that's a direct violation of your constitutional rights. Just because someone's celebrating doesn't mean that they should be censored. Okay? That's like saying censoring you for COVID. Or if Nancy Pelosi was hung after being found guilty of treason and you're celebrating on social media and they come after you and arrest you. That's what he was saying. Now I want you to listen to the Attorney General, Pam Bondi. By the way, very, very pro-Israel supporter.
Before you hit the play, just let the audience know, all the Rumble rants coming in, we will be reading those live and answering all your questions at the end of the show. So we do see them. We thank you for them. That's the way you guys help support us. So don't think we're skipping them. We will be reading those at the end of the show. Go ahead, Josh.
Now, all agents activated people.
It's horrific. It's free speech, but you shouldn't be employed anywhere if you're going to say that. And employers, you have an obligation to get rid of people. You need to look at people who are saying horrible things, and they shouldn't be working with you. Businesses cannot discriminate. If you want to go in and print posters with Charlie's pictures on them for a vigil, you have to let them do that. We can prosecute you for that. I have Harmeet Dillon right now in our civil rights unit looking at that immediately, that Office Depot had done that. We're looking at that.
Actually, Pam Bondi, the Supreme Court about 10 years ago decided on a case exactly like that in Colorado. Remember the gay couple marriage that wanted to go out there and get a cake made? And they said that, yes, businesses can deny service to anybody they want because it's their free speech. But she just said, look, I have my attorneys looking into this right now to prosecute these people. Guys,
that's crazy.
That's not good. It gets worse, Alpha.
If private businesses want to fire people, if the American people want to do cancel culture, you know what? Then that's on the people. Yep. Government has no place in formally or informally being a part of that. It's free speech. There is no asterisks next to it. Doesn't matter. I'll grab that post that I put up there earlier today.
Listen to this. It gets worse.
There's
guys.
free speech and then there's hate speech. And there is no place, especially now, especially after what happened to Charlie in our society.
Do you see more law enforcement going after these groups who are using hate speech and putting cuffs on people so we show them that some action is better than no action?
We will absolutely target you, go after you if you are targeting anyone with hate speech, anything. And that's across the aisle. There's free speech and then there's hate.
Now, by the way, there is no lawful definition of hate speech. The Supreme Court has ruled on this, that there's something known as the Brandenburg test that you put speech through. If it incites violence or if it is a direct cause of violence, then therefore it can be prosecuted, but the speech itself is protected under the First Amendment. What Pam Bondi just said there, it is an egregious violation of the United States Constitution. Now, by the way, who is one of the people covering up the Epstein files, telling Donald Trump that there's nothing there? Pam Bondi. Now, the video I'm about to show you, online databases of people's names and monitoring social media for their posts, does this sound kind of vaguely familiar, right? I'm going to play a video, then I'm going to tell you who this person is. And I want you to see if this sounds familiar in any way, shape, or form to what you just heard Pam Bondi say.
The next thing we will do, is to put restriction on the social media in a way that not allowed to make brutal propaganda in the social media. Because this is a worldwide problem. And it should be initiated by the United States of America, the place where all the big firms is settled. Facebook and X and all the rest. This is a major problem for democracy all over the globe, and we need to treat it seriously.
Now, sounds vaguely familiar to what Pam Bondi was just saying, doesn't it?
Sounds
almost
freaking
verbatim.
Yeah.
Now, who was that? That gentleman is Israel's Democratic Party leader, the person who's going to rise to office after Netanyahu leaves, Yair Golan. Isn't it interesting that he just said this the other day, the same message that we're seeing many people in Congress and our Attorney General all talk about? Now, I wonder where in the world all this talk about online databases of people saying words we don't like that are emotionally enraging came from. Well, let me inform you a little bit. Israel runs anonymous websites like Canary Mission that maintain publicly viewable profiles and of activists and students critical of Israel or supportive of the BDS movement. These profiles are sometimes used by Israel authorities in immigration and border control and have been shared with intelligence services. There's a pro-Israel app called ads.badlandsmedia. It's organized mission for users to flag, respond to, or upvote, downvote social media posts critical to Israel. Unit 8200, the Shin Bet, uses sophisticated social media surveillance and AI tools to generate dissenters' catalog based on social media posts. In other words, they go out there, they search social media for anything that is talking bad about Israel, and they make a database as you as a dissenter. And yes, that happens right now in the United States of America with a foreign country. On the same day, September 10th, that Charlie Kirk was assassinated, the National Defense Authorization Act was reinitialized. Within that National Defense Authorization Act was a provision in there ensuring that if any business or company became anti-Semitic and did not hire Jewish companies or do business with Jewish companies, that the government could legally prosecute them. That passed, and that was entered by Lauren Boebert in Congress.
On the 10th.
Is this getting good? Yeah, on the 10th. Isn't this getting good?
This is crazy. I want to bring this up because they're doing this all on the back of Charlie's name.
Immediately after, it's like the switch was pushed. Boom.
Now
it was a coup.
Here's the crazy thing about it. Charlie was completely against this.
We're gonna get into that part.
Here's a post from Charlie, May 2nd, 2024. Hate speech does not exist legally in America. There's ugly speech, there's gross speech, there's evil speech, and all of it is protected by the First Amendment. Keep America free. But yet they're trying to use his death, his assassination, his murder to push their agenda.
Look what Bibi Netanyahu said the other day, and I want everybody to, if you understand the geopolitical situation that I just talked about, okay? By the way, on September 12th, Donald Trump comes out and says that we're negotiating with China and things are going good. We're about to have a deal with China, right? Remember that.
That is orchestrated by the same forces that supported Iran. Iran's effort to put a military siege on us and ultimately choke us. We were able to break loose from that siege, and we will have to do several things to break loose.
By the way, for context, this is Benjamin Netanyahu talking to U.S. House Assembly members and to Congress, and we'll talk about why he's talking to them in a minute.
From this siege that is organized by a few states. One is China, and the other is Qatar. And they're organizing an attack on Israel legitimacy.
Listen to what the fuck he just said, Alpha. What two countries? Number one, Qatar. Go back there with the missile that went in, right? Trump already negotiated peace with Qatar. China, Trump's in the middle of negotiating. What does he say right here?
And they're organizing an attack on Israel legitimacy.
They're organizing an attack on Israel? Guys, you better wake up. There's about to be a false flag in Israel that's going to be blamed on China or Qatar or Iran. So that's what.
When was the date of this?
This is like 3 days ago.
Now, the reason I find that this is post the assassination.
Yes, this is post assassination. That's why the context of everything I said earlier matters.
And
here he is again.
The reason I asked Josh is I wonder, because me and you have talked about this privately. I wonder if the intel that Barron was probably one of the targets
Qatar.
that they're going to try to make it seem like Qatar, Iran, or China were behind those efforts. Because remember how it was circulating that Iran was responsible for Butler?
Yep.
I wonder if this was going to be a way
Now, context. You mentioned Butler. You remember when Donald Trump came out and said, "Oh, Butler," and he looks behind him at Pam Bondi. He says, "We're declassifying all the documents on Butler and all the evidence, and that should be released next week." Do you know what happened that next week?
No.
Israel, Iran.
Oh, shit. That's right. I do remember.
Someone didn't want that information declassified.
I do because there was another article that got released that Iran had infiltrated or had hacked the IDFs. It was like information on their surveillance, their folders, all that. That was all a few days before that attack happened.
Yep. Listen to this. Countries like Qatar and China have invested and continue to invest enormous sums to influence Western media with an anti-Israel agenda. Through bots, AI. Now, why is this important? Remember, what is Pam Bondi framing here? Speech is hateful and violent. The same thing that the left does. And what you'll realize, it's the same people behind the left, guys. But what are they framing here? Speech is violent, right? He's saying that, remember, he said China and Qatar. This is the same thing all over again. China and Qatar. That there's going to be a violent incident in Israel that's going to bring this all about. Now, let me bring this video up before I bring other videos up. I gained a lot of respect for Marjorie Taylor Greene today after I saw this video. Not one of my favorite congresswomen.
Israel is the only country I know of that has some sort of incredible influence and control over nearly every single one of my colleagues. Because AIPAC are Americans, therefore they can legally donate to members of Congress and senators. So let's talk about how that works. AIPAC takes every single that they can, freshman member of Congress, their first year in Congress, they take them on a very special trip to Israel in August. August is our recess. It's our month-long district work period. That's
Dems and Republicans, or just Republicans?
They take both of them.
Yes.
So they take them on this trip to Israel. I guess they go on tours all around. I didn't go, so I don't know what they do there. But they take them on tours, like the pictures we've seen recently of the speaker and other members of Congress at the Wailing Wall. They wear the kippah. And even though they're Christians, they're not Jewish, but yet they're adorning Jewish attire, and they're at these Jewish religious sites. Then they also meet with different members of the Israeli government. We got to recognize the Israeli government is secular. This is not the biblical Israel. It is the secular government of Israel.
Okay. I know it brings up questions, but wait, there's more.
Oh, shit.
Guys, this doesn't get bad. This gets worse. Okay. I should have another video. Now, I'm not going to get into the whole Candace Owens and all of this stuff because, yes, it's relevant, but I know that people are like, I need to go to bed, Josh, right? There's a video out there. We
still got a little doozy at the very, very end for them, too.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to bring up, I had another video I wanted to play. Oh, here you go. This is it. Now, how bad do you think it actually is, Alpha, in our government?
I think it's bad.
I want you to listen to Max Blumenthal right here and listen to what he says. Everybody.
Going back to what I was telling you before the break, John Ratcliffe, when he was isolated with Donald Trump to basically feed Donald Trump Mossad talking points, including about phony, fabricated WMD propaganda about the Houthis about to get a nuclear weapon from Iran if he didn't strike. he was isolated by Susie Wiles, the chief of staff. And who is Susie Wiles? Subsequent to my report at the Gray Zone citing a inside White House source, a Trump official, we learned that Susie Wiles had actually went to Israel to work for Benjamin Netanyahu on his 2020 re-election campaign. How crazy is that? America first, and your chief of staff literally worked for a foreign leader? What's going on here? I mean, that's what we're unmasking, is the biggest foreign influence infiltration operation in American history that is basically taking control of an administration that says it's America first and is taking us to a very dangerous place.
Now, I want to comment on what he just said. The greatest infiltration by a foreign enemy into the United States of America. What did we talk about a few weeks ago? Didn't we talk about Alice in Wonderland and Operation Snow White?
We absolutely did.
Now, do you see the context of how this is all beginning to fit together with the boards? Now, but wait, there's more.
Jesus.
Okay. Trust me, this has a happy ending. Or at least I hope it does. Because right now what we're seeing is, why is the FBI going along with this false narrative with this Patsy?
I have my suspicions.
Why is Cash playing this role? Why is Bongino leaving in 2 weeks? Bongino's done with it. Okay? But I think he's leaving because he's going to blow the whistle. But Cash is playing along with it. Why? They are under the control of Israeli influence. They are under Zionist influence. And I'm going to tell you why Donald Trump has to play this game, but I want you to understand the optics. The optics, okay? I'm going to lead this up because this is the Charlie Kirk part that we want to talk about, okay? Every Israeli connection that Charlie Kirk...
Bring it up because we can't see it.
Yep. Hold on, I got to change scenes here. It's not a video. It's a post, but I'll bring it up. Every Israeli connection to Charlie Kirk's assassination. Number one, look how long that is.
Oh, jeez.
Okay. So, groomed by Israel as a teenager, was Israel's top non-Jewish loyalist, starts mildly criticizing Israel, said Epstein was Mossad, October 7th was an inside job, said Jews were behind open borders and neoliberalism. That's pretty important. Said no to Iran war on behalf of Israel, lobbied Trump against Iran war. Trump barked back at him over Iran. He said Israel had full control over Trump. He referred to Netanyahu as a bully. He feared Israel would kill him, told Megyn Kelly Israel's trying to control him. Harrison Smith posts about Kirk's fear. Netanyahu requests Charlie's visit. Netanyahu offers TPUSA $150 million. Charlie refused. He became disgusted with Netanyahu. He let anti-Zionists speak at his events. Zionist media started attacking him. Zionist donors threatened to defund him. Zionists say Charlie should be replaced. Zionist donors demand Kirk ban Tucker. Donors cut him off, launch attacks. Loomer says Kirk backstabbed Trump. Loomer declares Kirk is done. The FBI director fires the Utah FBI chief the morning of Charlie's assassination. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
Yep. Cash fired the FBI chief in Utah the morning of the investigation. And guess who led the investigation? Cash. Okay.
Did he just for, because it's important, did he fire him prior to the assassination?
Before the morning
the assassination.
Yes. He has anti-Israel interview with Ben Shapiro 48 hours before being shot. Shapiro attacks Kirk on Martin Levin. He has combative meeting with Israel rabbi the day before being shot. Then it goes into the assassination. Don't worry about all that. We already discussed all that. That's just the timeline. The aftermath, and this is important to note. Zionists and Netanyahu go on social media blitz about Kirk. Netanyahu says Islamists behind shooting. Netanyahu says Israel didn't kill Kirk. Netanyahu reads Kirk's pro-Israel letter. Candace Owens says the letter was faked. Candace Owens calls Netanyahu to publish the letter. Tucker says Charlie was at war with Israel. Cernovich says Kirk was at war with donors. Gray Zone drops article, that's Blumenthal, with Trump Insider, which we just talked about. Insider confirms Kirk's war with Israel. Insider confirms Trump's fearful of Israel. Insider confirms Mossad spying on Trump. Trump insiders don't buy official FBI story. Trump insiders say outside forces killed Kirk. Epstein files blocked immediately after death. Pentagon banned from boycotting Israel. That's what Pete Hegseth came out, right? Pete Hegseth came out and said ban anybody from celebrating Charlie Kirk's assassination. Rubio visits Israel. $650+ million approved for Israel's missile defense in the same day the National Defense Authorization Act was passed on September 10th. Ben Shapiro takes over the Bloody Mike duties. That's pretty interesting, right? Well, I'm going to pull up a post for you that you're going to absolutely love, Alpha, because this is where it starts to get. So, guys, remember when I said in the beginning, the optics when in a PSYOP, when it's being countered by a PSYOP, when it's being countered by another PSYOP, optics and perception are pertinent here. Trump looks weak. He looks compromised by Israel. Cash is following the orders of Trump. Maybe Pam Bondi is, maybe she isn't. I think that she's an Israeli agent. That's my thought. But we know Cash definitely isn't. Cash is just following orders. Cash was told to cover this shit up. He is covering it up because he's taking orders from Trump. Why? Because Cash knows the plan. This is where it gets really, really interesting. The perception that you're meant to see is that Israel is taking over the country. It was slow. Now it's very, very fast. That they're in the White House and they control Donald Trump, right? Now, Alpha, let me ask you this. If Donald Trump knew this, why is he letting it happen?
Well, I mean, if you go, yeah, you broke up. Say it again.
Go back to Butler, Pennsylvania. That was Israel. That was the warning shot. We control you. You'll be president. We control you. Okay. So Trump gets in the office. He's got to have Susie Wiles by his side, which is his Mossad handler, right? He's got to appoint these people in his cabinet that Israel says that he has to appoint in his cabinet. What are they doing right now? They're turning on freedom. Are they fucking not? They're turning on freedom. Pam Bondi, listen to her. I think Cash is going along with it. I don't think he's in on this, but I think that he's following along with the game. Okay? Now, this is where it gets really, really, really interesting. I'm going to play a short little video clip, and everybody will probably recognize this video clip. And I want you to understand that after Charlie Kirk's assassination, Dan Scavino posted a very similar clip that we've all seen before. I'm going to play this. Now, remember, Trump looks weak. He looks compromised, right? Dan Scavino posted this.
Look at this lion. He's the king of the jungle. Huge mane out there. He's laying down under a tree in the middle of Africa. He's so big. He's so hot. He doesn't want to move. Now, the little lion cubs, they start messing with him. Biting his tail, biting his ears. He doesn't do anything. The lioness, she starts messing with him, coming over, making trouble. Still, nothing. Now, the other animals, they notice this, and they start to move in. The jackals, hyenas, they're barking at him, laughing at him. They nip his toes and eat the food that's in his domain. They do this, and they get closer and closer and bolder, till one day, that lion gets up and tears the shit out of everybody, runs like the wind, eats everything in his path. Because every once in a while, the lion has to show the jackals who he is.
Dan Scavino posted that on his. Dan Scavino posted that the other day.
Holy shit, bro.
Now, I want to bring some context here. Why can't Donald Trump take action against Israel?
He's got to. Well, there's a couple reasons. One of the main ones that I've always shared with my audience is it has to be demanded by the people.
What just happened with Charlie Kirk's assassination? People are what?
Demanding it.
The only people I see defending Israel are the pro-Zionist, pro-Israel MAGA right now. Everybody else is waking up. They know it's a scam. Now, have you noticed? Kash Patel, he's running the cover-up operation. It's not a very good one, is it?
It's obvious.
It is bad. It's obvious.
And he
almost like he's trying to tell us. They're trying to tell us, guys, we're being coerced and forced. They're the lion being nipped at by the jackals right now.
This audience is going to trip when we show them that.
There's another part. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So then go to Marjorie Taylor Greene's comments. We have a Republican majority of Senate and Congress, right? The majority is also what? Funded by who? AIPAC. Trump can't come out against Israel because if he does, he's going to get impeached and removed from office. He's going to get 25th Amendmented by the AIPAC pro-Israel crowd in Senate and Congress. So what do you have to do? You have to expose them. You have to never interfere with your enemy when they're in the process of destroying themselves. Pam Bondi just came out. We have Clay Higgins just came out. The AIPAC, Lauren Boebert just came out. The AIPAC crowd is coming out showing their true colors. And the world's seeing it. The world's going, hey, Israel did this. And pro-Zionist MAGA is like, no, they didn't. Oh, no, it was Antifa. It was Antifa. And the government, you're seeing the government is being run by them.
You see controlled alt media saying, yes, ban them. And you're seeing the real alt media saying, fuck no, we're about the First Amendment. We don't like this shit, but you don't touch it. You don't touch your lines are being drawn.
There you go. Battle lines are being drawn. So there's just a few more posts. Now, number one, do you know the street number that the kid lived on?
Somebody said it earlier.
33rd Street in Jersey. Now, I told you there's symbolism behind this, right?
Because the property too has to, well, I think you're probably going.
Well, you remember Kash Patel came out and said that it was a 33-hour investigation? No, it wasn't. It was actually a 48-hour investigation. Okay? Why did he say 33? Now, think about the context of symbolic representation. Israel, Trump, hey, man, you're getting a little out of the way. Yeah, we know we threw a bomb into Qatar, but hey, we got to unify us too, right? But what happened? They killed Charlie Kirk. And so now you're mourning, but Israel wants to make the closure to it, right? Enter the number 33. 33 was reported for the arrest when we know is actually much longer. In Jewish mysticism, also known as Kabbalah, 33 symbolizes a transition from mourning, crying, sadness to joy. They ended the investigation, the morning of the investigation. Charlie Kirk died. You're in a state of mourning. They ended it 33 hours later with joy. The number carries connotations to cultural unity, bringing back together, reconciliation. The shooter's street address, 33rd Street in Jersey. Guys, that's not a coincidence. But see, there's something else that happened the other day, and I think that this scares the shit out of Israel. See, on Friday of last week, Donald Trump authorized Pete Hegseth to produce the Defense Act with Qatar. In other words, we just sent billions of dollars of weapons, planes, and munitions over to Qatar. The 2 days after Israel sent a missile into Qatar. Okay? That's pretty important. Qatar came out and said, hey, we reserve the right to retaliate, and then Donald Trump gives them weapons. Now, you got to remember, Donald Trump went into the United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia, and Qatar. He negotiated $15 trillion flowing into the United States of America over the next 10 years. They're invested in the United States of America. Right?
War through proxy.
That's right. So here's something very, very interesting. And this is translated. Who's one of Donald Trump's good allies in the Middle East?
MBS.
That's right. Listen to what he has to say today.
And we reject and condemn the actions of the occupying authority, Mossad of Israel in the region, the latest of which is the brutal aggression against the sister state of Qatar, which requires an Arab, Islamic, and international response to confront this aggression, and to take international measures to stop the occupying authority and deter it from its criminal practices that destabilize the security and stability of the region. We will stand with the sister state of Qatar in whatever measures it takes without limit, and we will dedicate all our resources. Therefore, we also condemn the continued brutal assaults on our Palestinian brothers in Gaza.
Hold on a second. Did Netanyahu just say that Qatar and China are about to attack Israel, literally? Then NDR comes out and says, I'm going to back Qatar. But wait a minute. Back in April, Donald Trump sent a shitload of military missiles and bombs to Saudi Arabia. This last Friday, he just sent a shitload of missiles and bombs to Qatar. But wait, Netanyahu just said yesterday the Qatars are going to attack him. What the fuck is going on?
We're gonna come to the brink of somebody's gonna get their fingers so close to that red button.
Well, I want to show you one post that is going to blow your fucking mind. And I gotta find it. I had it right here. I got like 80 posts up here, people. I hope everybody understands that I'm not very organized right now I'm coming from my show, going to this show.
Oh, I'm with you, bro. I have so many different windows open.
I'll just go to my profile and find it because it's going to be way easier that way. Actually, we're going to scroll all the way up and because it should be right at the top. Oh, there it is. So I'm going to pull this post up and you're going to see it. And I don't think you've seen this yet because you've been on the show. It came on when we were on the show. I think it did. Now, by the way, I want to show you another context before we get into this, okay? Because, guys, this is so important to understand what's going on here, okay? Where are they? They're right over here somewhere. Nope, we don't need them. We don't need to talk about Sabbatean and Frankism. Where is the damn post? There it is. Okay. The other day, General Michael Flynn posted something on X. And he said, the people responsible for Charlie's murder. Okay, this is what he said. He said the deep state criminal organization is responsible for Charlie's murder. These are the names. He says their names have become too familiar. Soros, Obama, Clinton, Biden, Gates, Schwab, Macron, Starmer, Mertz, all and many others are part of the liberal globalist elite that over a decade demonized the political opponents and accepted the unholy alliance. Now, he's not mentioning Israel. Did you know that 2 days before this, there's another post very, very similar? Read it. Charlie Kirk Sillers are Soros, Obama, Biden, Macron, Starmer, Mertz, all liberal globalist elite that during decades demonized the political opponents, labeling us fascists, Nazis. Why is that almost verbatim Mike Flynn's post? Oh. Now, by the way, this was posted before Flynn's post. So that means that Flynn copied this. Guys, it's a message. Do you know who Alexander Dugin is? Who has General Flynn been collaborating with in text messages? Kirill Dmitriev? Putin's special envoy? This is Alexander Dugin, political philosopher and mentor to Vladimir Putin.
Oh, shit.
That is verbatim what Mike Flynn just said right there. Why? Because Flynn is trying to tell all of us something. And the next part is going to be even crazier. Because if we understand that this is actually what we are going through right now, people, I want you to hear this from me first. We are going through saving Israel for last right now. Okay? General Flynn, today, 2 hours ago, this timeline and set of statements have to be part of any serious investigation. Pam Bondi, TPUSA, Alex Jones. What's he talking about? What post is he reposting, Alpha?
No way.
Every Israel connection to Charlie Kirk's assassination so far.
Shit. We're in that. We're in that phase.
Red October.
We are in that phase.
Right, guys, if you see it, you get it.
Everything. If you guys go back and watch Defcon Zerq from last Tuesday night. Now, interesting enough, check this out. It was one of our largest live view audiences that we've ever had on this show. It was the second largest one. It was the smallest total view count out of all of our shows.
Mm-hmm.
Does not make sense in the algorithm. Literally the day before Charlie's taken out.
Yep.
And if you go watch the show and look at everything that's transpired from that DEF CON to this DEF CON, you're going to be like, holy shit, you guys are right there on the numbers telling us that something like this was coming down the pipeline.
Yep. Now, I want to point something out real quick, because I see people saying, I call it Rothschild, the nation of Rothschild. And you're absolutely right. But I want to bring some context to what you're seeing here. In 1666, a Jewish rabbi by the name of Sabbatai Zevi proclaimed himself to be the Jewish Messiah. All right? He amassed millions of Ashkenazi Jew followers within Europe. The Ottoman Empire was still in charge during that time and forced Sabbatai Zevi to convert to Islam, which many of his converts, many of his people, his followers actually converted to Islam, enter the Islam infiltration. Okay? He ends up dying, but his religion moves on. They believed him to be, Sabbatai Zevi, the Jewish Messiah. 100 years later, in the 1700s, a gentleman by the name of Jacob Franks adopts the teachings of Sabbatianism, the teachings of Sabbatai Zevi, proclaims himself to be the reincarnated Sabbatai Zevi and his daughter to be the Messiana, the female recreation. Okay? Now, the interesting thing about Jacob Franks is where he lived. I'll get into that in 1 second. But what we get out of this is Sabbatian Frankism. Convergence of Sabbatianism and Frankism. Jacob Franks lived in Frankfurt, Germany. Now, in Frankfurt, Germany in the late 1700s, his neighbor was a very wealthy, prominent political type of guy. His name was Adam Weishaupt. Now, the name might sound familiar. Okay? Now, Adam Weishaupt was really good friends with a guy by the name of Amschel Bauer, or Amschel Rothschild. Okay? Rothschild, Adam Weishaupt, and Jacob Franks produced something known as the Order of the Illuminati. And they begin spreading Sabbatian Frankism covertly by infiltration of Masonic lodges, by infiltration of secret societies, by infiltration of universities and professor systems, and infiltration of governments. This caused in the 1850s socialist revolution in Europe. And yes, Karl Marx is Jewish, people. Okay? But more importantly, this leads to an event that happens in 1868 prior to the 1871 Organic Act. What happens in 1868 is the Vatican becomes basically bankrupt because of the Rothschilds during this time. Now, they turn to some familiar allies known as the Black nobility. This is the Orsini and the Colonna families. And they say, hey, we need to borrow some money. We need to borrow some money. They step in and take the money from the Rothschilds, which, by the way, in 1861, the House of Rothschilds converged with the largest opium dealers in the world, known as the Sassoon family. And the Rothschilds and the Sassoon families converged at this point. The Vatican goes bankrupt. The Orsinis and the Colonnas come in and say, hey, we're going to get you loans. They go out there. They borrow the money from the Rothschilds. The Rothschilds now enter into the Jesuit orders. That same Illuminati order enters into what we call the Black Pope, the Black Church. This is what Cardinal Vigato has talked about. Okay, this is the history of it, guys. So what happens next? That same year, right after the Rothschilds funded the loans for the Vatican, the first loan was issued through the Holy See. Do you know who it was issued to? Washington, D.C., to complete the Washington Memorial, which is a 555.55 foot tall obelisk, which also exists in the center of London, Rothschild London, and the Vatican.
No shit.
Symbolism will be their downfall. Now, this isn't over. 1913, Lord, oh man, my mind just went blank. So we get Lord Belford gets the Belford Declaration, where he is given the land of Palestine. This is implemented in 1948, and that's the land of Rothschild. That is modern day Israel. George Soros, Ashkenazi Jew. George Soros in the 1960s becomes a billionaire. He becomes an asset of what? Primarily the Vatican, of the Rothschilds. He makes connections directly with China and Hong Kong, with the Lee family in Hong Kong, which then ran the Rothschild opium trade, heroin trade around the world. What is the one drug of trade that's flowing over our borders coming from China? Heroin. Just keep this in mind, people, okay? This is the criminal organization. Soros becomes the public figure in the expression of the Rothschild dynasties, and they subside. And he begins working through NGOs and dark money funnels and influencing politicians and infiltrating governments in and around and during this time frame. Now, why is that important? Number one, Soros is Jewish. We all understand that, Giorgio Schwartz. But number two is that in the cue boards, there's something known as Godfather 3. You see it all the time. George Soros is the references to Godfather 3. What was Don Corleone? He wanted to go out there and he buy a part of the Vatican, but then he gets in there and realizes that the church doesn't control shit. It's a hidden hand, a dark, evil hidden hand that controls the Vatican. Godfather 3. George Soros is the Don Corleone. He is the front man who's being controlled by this darkness in the background, the Sabbatean Francism. But by the way, Sabbatean Francism is not Judaism. It's not even close. Think about them as atheists who worship darkness. They are pure fucking evil. And I truly do. This modern day Satanism is Sabbatean Frankism, people. Okay, this is what I say. People got it all wrong with Luciferianism and Satanism. All of this stuff was infiltrated and retranslated in the mid-1800s and the early 1900s, primarily in the early 1900s. And so Madame Blavatsky, this is a Russian psychic, came out and wrote all of these various different books on occultism during the mid-1800s. There's nothing evil about Madame Blavatsky, but her works were taken and they sparked a whole movement and regeneration of occult and esoteric knowledge in the early 1900s. That was infiltrated and then carried on to produce by people like Alice Valley, and we can even mention Aleister Crowley. These people were being used to create the modern-day Church of Satan, which was created in 1969 by Anton LaVey. Anton LaVey based the Church of Satan off Aleister Crowley's original works and the prime components of the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, of which Aleister Crowley came from. The problem is that the Church of Satan is nothing like the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn or modern-day Hermeticism. It's an inversion, because Satanism is an inversion of the truth. And that began to spread throughout what? Hollywood and high societies. It started in Chicago. It started in New York. It started in LA. Why is that important? If you go to LA, who owns all the production companies, all the movie companies, and who owns all of the large corporations in the Silicon Valley? What's their last names?
I would say that would be Jewish.
You remember when Ye came out and he said about his handler was feeding him, and it was a Jewish guy that worked for the Mossad in the Canadian military? Guys, the whole world is under the control of this fucking evil. It's that bad. I do believe there's a plan in place, and I hope that this plan works. I believe, I trust Nessun Dorma.
There is, and we're seeing it play out.
Oh, we are.
It is not as impenetrable as a lot of people would love to believe. I think that's where we would probably get a lot of pushback. War is war. You know, there's going to be, good guys and bad guys. But to recap all this.
By the way, I wanted to prove this. So, remember Alexander Dugin?
I do.
First Rothschilds were Francis and financed Eva Frank, daughter of Jacob Frank, that was considered the Matronita, the Shnika, herself a feminine messiah in the eyes of cult followers. Soros is part of the Frankist network. That has not much to do with Orthodox Judaism. They're telling us what's going on, guys.
No, there's your who and why.
Okay, done.
To recap all this, and then we'll get into the last part that's really going to blow people's fucking minds right now on where it could possibly lead. For those that joined late, thank you for sticking with us. Smash the thumb, hit the like. Between Rumble and the different platforms, we're a little over 8,000 people watching live right now. So if you guys smash the thumbs, hit the hearts, leave comments. It'd definitely help us with the algorithms. My 60-second conclusion on what happened in Charlie Kirk's assassination. I believe 30-06 round hit the upper left portion of his level 4 ceramic plate. Either fragmentation from the bullet or fragmentation from the vest is what exploded into his neck and created that entrance room, which ricocheted all throughout his brain. I think he was dead within milliseconds of that, and I think that was evident by the reaction of his body. Do I believe that the kid pulled the shot? Based on me looking at the area and all that stuff, I think it's highly likely it was, with the understanding that what was the real reason? Is he a victim of MK Ultra? Is he a victim of V2K, voice to skull? And of course, if he was, we know the intelligence agencies are behind that, aka CIA, aka Mossad. A lot of people can believe weird stuff. Could the boyfriend be a handler? Who knows? There's more information digging that's going to be there. Do I think the kid just operated off, I just hate Charlie Kirk? No, I think it's way more deep rooted and more organized behind that. One of the things, to just recap, they said that they saw him in the surveillance camera crawling prone into the shooting position. That means that he had already reconned that shooting position and knew that position was going to provide him the optimal angle to take the shot, and hence the reason he moved into it prone. Not, hey, I'm walking up here looking for something. Obviously, he researched it. He knew where the cameras were, not to look up. So there's that. I think that kind of summarizes how I believe it went down, without everybody going back and watching it from beginning to end.
And by the way, I wanted to throw this out there real quick because you said 30-06. 30-06, remember the number 33 symbolism? They use symbolism. This is Kabbalah. They use symbolism. 3006 is 9 is completion.
There you go. And then you guys heard what Josh explained to us right now on the who and why. Now, this last thing, my little brother sent me something, and I was like, this is too crazy. I need to verify it myself to see that it works out. And I sent this to Josh earlier today. We were both like, what the heck? So I'm going to show this to you guys real time. This photo, multiple news outlets showed it, made its way through social media. But you see the alleged suspected shooter here, the Robinson kid, and you see his computer monitor. Now, at first glance, you ain't thinking nothing of it. But the image on his computer monitor is of a specific location known as Goat Island Marine. And to show you guys, so here, let me zoom in on the picture real quick so you guys can see this. Oh, it's not going to zoom in.
No, right click on it, save it as a file, and then open it up in your browser.
Yeah, I'm going to open it up in a new tab. The new tab will let me zoom in. There we go. So right here, you see this? This is his desktop. And that's the island known as Goat Island Marine Reserve. So I'm going to zoom out real quick so you can see it. This is in New Zealand. So just so everybody can see where in the world we're at. Here you go. Okay, New Zealand. And so when we zoom in to this island, here is that image that's on his computer. So let's go back to computer. Goat Island. Computer, Goat Island. Now, interesting enough, when I was doing this yesterday, this lighter shade and dark shade was absent. Just like if Josh goes to the screenshots I sent him, that that difference in shade is absent. Now, what's more interesting is what did Kash Patel say at the end of his statement surrounding.
Rest in peace, my buddy. Rest in peace, my friend. We have the watch. We'll see you in Valhalla.
And when you scroll down right over here, there is a place called Valhalla.
I mean, what are the odds of that? Now, also, On another podcast, there was someone talking about Valhalla is a secretive term utilized by Witness Protection Program. There's context to why that person would say that. And the context is a 2012 television series that never aired about the Witness Protection Program called WITSEC. And that they gave it a fictitious name like Heaven. And they called the WITSEC program where people went called Valhalla, which I find kind of interesting.
Very, very interesting.
But
Now,
I do believe that Charlie Kirk is dead.
I absolutely believe that he's dead. Clear as
But
day.
the question is why is this kid looking
Remember.
at that island?
Right there on his computer.
He's got it up there. Why is he looking at that island specifically? Now, Alpha, let me ask you this. Do you remember during COVID, they were talking about all the deep underground bomb shelters that all the elites were building around the world?
I do.
Do you remember where they were building them? New Zealand.
It was New Zealand.
That's right.
No
New
shit.
Zealand. Yeah, it was New Zealand. So let me ask you this. If this kid was influenced and said, hey, you're going to go up there, you're going to go on the roof, you're going to shoot him, and then what we're going to do is we're going to send you to this island. And this is where we send all of our guys. This is where we own this island. We're going to send you here. And that's where you're going to live out the rest of your days on this beautiful tropical island. In other words, Valhalla could mean the place where like people like Epstein go when they're not in government, patriot, white hat controlled, but instead they're being held by the bad guys. But obviously this kid is a patsy. He's going to get Jack Ruby. I guarantee it.
I'm there with you on that one. The reason, and I saw someone on the
Paradise series. Thank you.
And the YouTube chat mentioned it too, because this is what went to my mind. Remember, it's called Goat. It's a Goat Island, right?
Yeah, the greatest of all time.
And do you guys remember this video that was super popular?
Pet Goat.
I pet Goat too. Are you familiar with this, Josh?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. It shows, Obama, a lot of the stuff going down in the middle, a lot of stuff that we're talking about right now, you find in I Pet Goat 2. So I just found it interesting that it's called Goat Island. It's the same image. It has Valhalla there. There's definitely a there. I don't believe in coincidences at all.
I think the kid was told. So my thoughts are that the Valhalla comment by Kash Patel was another signal. It was another signal to us to pay attention. Okay? So what is he trying to tell us? He's trying to tell us, find Valhalla. And then you will understand that this kid was potentially pushed, influenced into all of this. And I guarantee you this kid was influenced to all of this.
You got to remember, he's absolutely going to be. He's
and it's MK Ultra, people. Absolutely.
What's one of the statements that he made to his boyfriend? I thought I was going to be able to keep this secret till my old age.
Yep.
So he obviously thought somebody was probably going to bail him out of this. Now there's two speculations of thought.
You ready for that?
He's pled not guilty, and there's only two reasons that I can think of. One reason is because he's like, no, there's a much bigger plan that's unfolding here, and y'all better come rescue me, or I'm going to blow the whistle, which means they will probably try to kill him and make it look like suicide.
Well, so Kash comes out and says that he confessed. Remember the FBI that wrote this note, right, on Discord? He confesses in it. But that's contrary to what Governor Cox in Utah said. Governor Cox in Utah says he's not cooperating with authorities. He pleaded not guilty.
And lawyered up.
Denying all allegations. Now, here is Alpha. I gotta bring this part up right now. Okay. You ready for this part? Christine Hall, Liberty Addict, constitutional attorney. Oh, I'm not showing it. Chris Ann Hall, constitutional attorney, right here. Liberty Addict, guys. Is Utah trying to lose this case? Utah versus Robinson. I just watched Utah prosecutor Jeff Gray publicly read aloud private text messages, interviews, and alleged confessions during a press conference before trial. about the Utah versus Tyler Robinson, Charlie Kirk shooting case. He even referred to them as press conference as facts. Are you kidding me? Oversharing inculpatory evidence like this is a huge constitutional no-no. Even the slap on the vague disclaimer like we want a fair trial, the damage is already done. Also, the statements by Gray of we will not be speaking to the press during this trial after reading actual testimony and evidence that has not been vetted by the court is a lame and empty attempt to cover up a massive violation of due process, Fourth Amendment, Fifth Amendment, etc., the presumption of innocence, and the integrity of the entire case. This is not just an error in strategy. This is potentially a legally destructive action. We will see motions to suppress tainted jury pools, request sequestration and gag orders, move for change of venue, seek exclusion of evidence due to taint or even mistrial. Ultimately, the defense may assert reversible error or appeal if the court fails to act. This is not a subject to interpretation. This is long-standing case law on this. The Supreme Court in Shepard versus Maxwell, 384 U.S. 333, 1966, reversed Shepard's conviction, ruling 7-2 that he was denied a fair trial due to failure to shield the proceedings from prejudicial media coverage.
And if anybody thinks that this is bullshit, let me tell you why it's right. Because that's the same case law that they were trying to use to defend the J6ers.
Mm-hmm.
And for the exact same reasons. How do you have a fair trial when the information's been read out there?
So, guys, this kid's going to walk.
I don't know if I'm going to go up there yet. I don't know. I personally think...
I don't think he's going to walk. I think he's going to get suicided.
I think he's going to get Clinton. That's what I think.
Remember, what did that letter say? I've thought about taking my own life. I'm just going to do it. He didn't write that letter, guys. Understand there's something much, much bigger going on right now.
I think, and this is one of the reasons, listen, the father knows, his dad knows that Utah has the death penalty for this kind of case.
Mm-hmm.
So it don't matter how evil an act your son did. You want to talk about one of the hardest things for a father to do is turn in your own seed.
Well, hey, if OJ's lawyer, Shapiro, comes up and represents this kid, we know Israel did it.
And that's why, you know, like I said, the other potential of why he's pleading not guilty, just to keep everything on the board so you guys know we're being transparent, is to leverage it to get a life sentence instead of the death penalty. Mm-hmm. If I'll plead guilty, if you guys give me life instead of the death penalty, that is a realistic reason to plead not guilty.
Well, the
but
key
you also
here is
got to
the
understand
feds need to get control of them.
That's the thing. And I think the reason that he was probably put into custody is because they know that this guy was he was a walking dead man.
Yep.
They were going to clean up loose strings, and they were going to take him out. And
maybe
so
that's why he replaced the FBI person in Utah the morning of.
And that's where I think
They could have been an Israeli agent.
Listen, there's something there. If this kid commits suicide, no, none of us are buying it. Ain't no how. One, he should be under 24/7 surveillance.
Hey, by the way, someone saying, "Come on, Jackson Hinkle, dude." All it is a timeline of legitimate, factual things that happened. Like, don't Jackson. Who gives a shit if it's Jackson Hinkle? I don't care.
And you got to remember, I don't like Jackson Hinkle. I don't like Fuentes.
I don't like Jackson.
I don't like Candace Owens.
Follow him either.
I don't like Candace Owens, any of them. But they still they incorporate the truth. And this is what you got to understand with propaganda. Propaganda is 80% truth, 20% propaganda. So a lot of the content they put out there is legitimate content. They just muddy it to give the propaganda more, more backing. So you're like, well, this is true. This has to be true.
Now, by the way, in the context of the Epstein files and why it's being covered up, go back to what we just talked about. Who has all the compromise? Israel. Who destroyed it? The liberals, right? So the Trump administration has to play the game. I'm telling you is that they are working behind the scenes military. This is why you have the proxy board of communication, the Q boards. This is why all of that is happening, is because this is who you're dealing with. They've infiltrated every area of government around the world, people.
And
the
with
deal
that
doesn't come to life with lube.
with that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for sticking around with us with the longest episode of Defcon Zero that we've done. Again, you can find me at alphawarrior.tv. You can find Josh at Red Pills with an S.tv. All those links down in the description, including the links to our sponsors. We're going to get to the last commercial. And when we come back, we got Rumble Rants. So we will see you guys in just a moment. You're going to like this last commercial. This is funny.
Deodorant should do more than cover you up. It should protect you all day long.
Dude, the deodorant stick is legit. I like the mint one. And, you go work out and you kind of get like, you get funky if you work out. Dude, like at the end of my workout, like I'm sweating, shirt got all those sweat. Like I'm like, dude, I still smell good. Like I absolutely love it. If you guys haven't tried it, try it.
That's the difference with Soft Disclosure. No aluminum, no chemicals, just clean, natural ingredients that fight odor and keep you fresh through every workout, every meeting, every moment.
I've always struggled with the you can't use aluminum deodorant because you're going to die if you use it kind of thing, because all of the non-aluminum deodorant products suck pretty much. Yeah. This is different. This is all day. You're all day good, and you're not putting any of that disgusting chemicals right near your lymph nodes.
Soft Disclosure deodorant, real protection, real freshness, built on truth. Available in mint and lemon grapefruit. Visit softdisclosure.com and use promo code Badlands for 15% off.
Soft Disclosure.
I put it on my balls.
Listen, folks, it's an infomercial. I have really tried to go the healthy way. And I was trying to find deodorants that were aluminum free. The only issue is that they were terrible. Like after an hour or two, you're just like, I smell a little funk there. I don't like that. And I was using the Sasquatch one. That was the only one that I found that worked. And then when I tried this one from Badlands, I was just like, it's in the house. Let's try it. It hands down 20 times better than the Sasquatch one that I use. This stuff is amazing, folks. And there's some new scents that are in the works. So again, you guys want to help us out. The Rumble Rants we're going to get to, subscribing on locals on Rumble is going to help us out, supporting our partnerships, affiliates, and sponsors, which all those links are down in the description. Is going to help us out. And then obviously you can always go to my individual channel and Josh's individual channels to help us out as well. Our content is free. Obviously you can see based off what me and Josh shared tonight, no one controls us. We're going to put out there what we want to put out there. You guys can trust but verify, always verify. And that's the way we'll work that out. So here we go into the Rumble Rants. Let me bring this up on the screen. You guys, we're going, it keeps bouncing everywhere. It's going to be hard to read, but
hey, Alpha, let me pull this one thing up real quick.
Go ahead. I
Okay.
can't figure out why this thing keeps jumping either.
So this is kind of new news. So the Israeli Heritage Foundation posted this letter that they sent out to all of their people on X. This is IHF_heritage. Chief Rabbi David Hosef from Israel sent a condolence letter to the Charlie Kirk family, praising him as a true friend and patriot. Look at the date on the letter.
It's too small for me to see.
September 2nd, 2025 is the date on the letter. I'm just saying. That's odd.
We ain't, this isn't the last of this conversation we're going to have. I'm going to bring this up on the screen. Hopefully you guys don't get dizzy because you guys are still sending in Rumble Rants, which is great because that means you're helping to support us. So first on deck, $20 coming from Me Anger B. Why aren't security positioned on all roofs within the shooting range? You don't need much skill to monitor them. I've looked into this. They had minimal law enforcement there. The venue was over 3,000 people. Here's the thing: the way these things work, especially with executive protection, the higher amount of property, security, and law enforcement that you have, then the security detail doesn't have to deploy as much as their own resources. In this situation, you didn't have a large volume of law enforcement presence. Yeah, you had 2 campus police officers that are obviously within the immediate area, and then you have the security personnel and bike racks. I'm not part of the security team. I hate Monday night quarterbacking people, but in this situation, if you're the security team and you show up and you see that the environment is that soft, you got to address it. You at that point, you got to say, hey, what are our vulnerabilities, and focus on that. Now, granted, you're going to see a lot of probably, names of notoriety, Candace Owens, Tucker Carlson, people like that do these things are probably going to up their security. And me and Josh didn't really get into this tonight, but
there's going to be more.
But privately, we've talked. We really do think that that this wasn't just a message to Trump and taking out Charlie, that this was a message to all of them, that this is the fate that awaits you if you don't fall in line.
Right. And the more that the Israel narrative progresses, the more that they're going to amplify that on the left and pin it on the left. So you're about to see some left-wing violence, in my opinion.
And we talked about this last Tuesday, literally the day before this went down. $10 coming in from Sting Tammy. Is the movie drawing to an end, or will there be sequels? We're moving into the climax. I don't think we're close to the end just yet, at least the end we want to see. Whoa, smokes. $100 coming in from Lexi Lou. Solana is doing well for me. Thank you, Josh. You and Alpha as a team is golden. Absolutely. Love this show. Well, thank you for helping to keep the
Appreciate it, Lexi. Thank you.
helping to keep the roofs over our head and the food on our plates. $5 come in from Mooney's mom, Frenchie. Thank you, Alpha and Josh. We'll catch replay tomorrow. Won't sleep if I listen tonight. Let us know what you think tomorrow in the comments. $10 from John Henry Bonzo. Happy birthday, my darling Cherry. Greatly appreciate you, Alpha and Josh. Where we go one, we go all. Be well and press on. Happy birthday to my darling Cherry. There you go. Birthday wishes to you.
Happy birthday, Cherry.
Yeah, hope you guys had a good celebration. Help me. I'm glitching. What do you think of the video of the guy in the front row that looks like he fires a palm pistol when the shot happens? That shirt, tan shirt, aviator shades. We talked about that one, addressed that one. So hopefully you guys saw.
It's part of his security detachment.
Yeah, those guys. Yeah, none of those rounds came from that close, and from all the different angles we have, folks. I'm telling you, and anybody that's owned a firearm will tell you. You would have saw muzzle flashes. Absolutely would have saw muzzle flashes.
You would have saw the people around him move out of that circle around him.
100%. And then on top of that is rifles and pistols make distinct sounds. Yes. A lot of rifles will sound alike. A lot of pistols will sound alike. Pistols and rifles don't sound alike. Let's see. All right, going on to the next one. $5 from Sherry K47. Hey guys, I was just wondering your thoughts. Could we have been wrong about the shot heard around the world was? Could it have been Charlie? Listen, absolutely, this could have been it. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that, Josh? I absolutely think this is a shot.
It was absolutely the shot heard around the world.
Yeah. Here's the thing. Let me bring this up and let me take this off the screen real quick to get your thoughts on this too, Josh. So here's the thing. I think they absolutely have a plan to assassinate President Trump. I think this attack on Charlie Kirk, what have you seen? It's brought us to the boiling point.
Mm-hmm.
And literally to the boiling point. And you're seeing it's being exploited by both ends because both ends are controlled. They got us to the boiling point. If they were to assassinate President Trump right now, it's civil war. With the amount of anger and everything right now, they truly believe it would be civil war if they took out our president right now, if they took out Boss Man.
The greater Israel.
And that is absolutely why we have to be smart. You always fight the war on your battlefield, not theirs. No matter how angry you are, no matter how hurt you are, emotion or anything, you always fight the battlefield on your terms. You never get sucked into it. You want to add to that, Josh? If not, I'll bring him back on.
Well, he's in the UK right now. And I found it interesting that he posted on True Social a picture of Marines standing in front of one of the buildings there in the UK. And it's a white building. And he says, the White House. And he's standing in front of it.
Oh, I like that. You got to send that one to me. I want to see that one. $10 come in from Jamie, Jam McClain. Great analysis. There has to be a second shooter. I'm open to the potential of that. I will say that, but I'll tell you, I have spent the last few days doing, where else would I put a sniper in to have that angle on that shot to hit it? And I'll tell you, it's very, very, very hard to do that, because you got to remember, he's in a bowl. So this is not like Butler, Pennsylvania, where Trump was up on a stage. So even at a distance, the sniper was shooting onto an elevated thing.
Even with Butler, is we have the distinguishment between the different gunshots.
100%. In this case, folks, I really do think the likelihood this kid is the shooter. I just think there's more to it. And I think MK Ultra, voice to skull technology, I think a lot of that was put into it. Mom's Clutterbox is now a monthly supporter. Thank you for that. Absolutely. A lot of these came in. I wonder if they gifted subscriptions, and that's why it looks like this, because that is a lot of monthly, because it's all the same person. So I wonder if they gifted it.
That was like 25. Yeah.
Let me mark it here, see if that holds. $20 coming in from Secrets. Okay, Alpha, twist my arm. Listen, this is what I'll tell you guys. Because I know I saw some people were disagreeing with me. I've taken sniper fire in an ambush. I know what it has. I know what it sounds like for a round to buzz between your head and a partner's head. I know what it's like to shoot someone. I know what it's like to be shot at someone. I know what it's like to be shot at by a pistol. I know what it's like to be shot at by a rifle. I've shot both these systems. I own these systems. I've carried the ballistics. I'm telling you, I've done the homicide school. You guys know me. I love conspiracies as much as the next person, but there's physics to a firearm being shot. And, a lot of people, muzzle flash is a simple thing, but I said the easiest thing, and that's why I started it with it, is if you just get your palm and you push against your sternum, see what your shoulder rolls do, and then have someone stand behind you and do it to the back of your spine and see what your shoulders do. That's the easiest thing to show you the impact, the direction of the impact that this came from. And that's why we showed you so many videos of the vest. And actually, I'll show you one more quick one at the end when we get through these. So $17 coming in from Sierra Sky 77. Alpha, great analysis. But after seeing other shots and reactions, how could Charlie's t-shirt not be torn up if he was hit from the front? And yes, quite a SOP and BB involved. And here's the reason, because Hollywood is what makes you think shirts look all torn. I'm telling you, I've seen people shot multiple times with t-shirts. It's not like a perfect circle. Like if you have it stretched out, you can do that, but mostly it's just a little line. It's a rip into the fabric that you see. And I'm telling you, that's from shots at distance, shots up close. I've been to the autopsies, folks, unfortunately, many times. Hollywood has really changed our perception on what these things look like. I'm telling you, I've seen a guy shot with an AR, I think it was like 7 or 8 times. And until you got up close to him, he hadn't even started leaking out yet. If you were 6 feet from him, you wouldn't even have known he was shot. It's just my partner was the one that was, so it was kind of obvious that he was shot. $20 from The Final Demand. It's crazy how many people have said, I didn't even follow this guy, and I feel like I've watched my friend get murdered. My mom said that's the Holy Spirit grieving a brother lost in Christ. Yeah,
100%.
100% agree with that. $10 from Andy Pearson. When will this ever be broad, common public information? I don't know.
I think it's happening. I think it's happening right now. You can't shut this up.
No, you can't. Can't do that.
Nope. Too many people love Charlie. You can't shut this up. Everybody knows who did it. And they know that we know.
And I have a feeling I'm going to butcher this name so you guys can save me. Bisca Loser. Alpha, this is Vegas Chris 77 on X. Oh, retired LASD. Found this August 30th. Trump posted a truth video, 1 minute, 28 seconds or 88 seconds. Go to post 88. 10 days, darkness. What happened? 10 days later, read full post 88. All right, I'll check that out, Chris. Thanks, man. I hope you're doing well, brother, too. And again, thanks for the gift. Love you, man. $10 from VPN or VP Nichols. Quote, Israel was the strongest lobby I've ever seen. They had total control over Congress, and now they don't. And looks like jpost.com, American Politics article. The link is right there. And $5 coming in from Secrets. Got to cut the grass real short to find the snakes. That's damn.
That's right.
Damn. Hell yeah. $20 from the Final Demand. Have they recovered the bullet yet? Without the bullet, they do not have the shooter. Well, yes and no. So one, in order to identify a bullet with the weapon system that it came from, there has to be enough rifling on it. You know, and for those that don't know, in barrels, right, in rifle barrels, pistol barrels, not shotguns, there's a twist that goes inside that barrel. And so when the bullet fires through that, it leaves these rifling marks on the bullet. And so if enough of the bullet is intact, you can line those things up almost like a fingerprint. The problem I think we're going to see here is, and you guys saw from the videos that we showed of a 30-06 hitting a level 4 ballistic panel, is when it hits that panel, it mushrooms in and takes a lot of it. So hitting the way it did and exploding, I think it's, like I said, either fragmentation or part of the plate, the ballistic plate that went into his neck. So if there's enough of the bullet that maintained its position or its form, yes, but you got to remember that 30-06 is coming in somewhere between 2,500, 3,000 feet per second plus. It's coming in hot. I don't think that there's going to be enough. Now, if it's something that would have been a through and through and into the ground, you know, different. But in this situation, it hit a ballistic plate. I don't think there's going to be enough rifling to figure that out. I don't know if you want to agree, disagree.
No,
or
you're fine.
$20 from Frank Hoffman. Thank you, Patriots. Well, thank you for the support. $25 coming in from Maria Foreman 63. Great show, guys. You deserve more. You two are amazing. Yeah, thank you for that.
Appreciate it.
And whatever people can afford, we're more than grateful. $17 from Miss Rhea Freedom Fighter. Tomorrow is the 17th. Let's see what happens. Great show, guys. Much appreciated, of course. $20 from Chris Pill or Chris Pie 13. ML and appreciation. Much love. Thank you for that. $5 from Mary Jail or Mary J1, whichever. Josh, is the Utah FBI agent that was fired still working the case?
No, it was the head of the FBI in Utah was fired the morning of.
That's wild to me. I didn't know that, brother. So thanks for that info.
Yep.
$20 from Bernie Marie. You got me on the edge of my seat watching in New Zealand.
It's like, I'm going to go down to Valhalla tomorrow.
If you do, Bernie Marie, message me or Josh with what information you have. Or, you know, we know locals usually know much more than we'll find on the internet. Damn, another $100 one coming in from Riha. Boom. God's Truth, Blessings, Alpha, Josh, and team. And that's, wow, we finished on that one. Thank you guys for those Rumble rants. Thank you guys. Here's one last one I'll show you. And then after that, we'll do final thoughts. I almost forgot. I meant to show this one earlier, but for whatever reason, this one wouldn't download on the software I have. So we're going to see it. Again, this is a 30-06 round, and this video is 3 years old. So let me bring it up on the screen. Actually, let me do it so you guys can hear audio. So let me stop this, share it there. So now you guys can hear the audio too. So here we go. This video is less than a minute. This 30-06 round being shot at a level 4 plate. And this one I wanted to show because when it hits the top plate, this one almost hits center mass. You're going to see what the round does. So here we go.
30-06 black tip. This is armor piercing round. That's a premier body armor level 4 plate that's already been struck once with a 30-06 armor piercing round. NIJ level 4 does not require multi-strike. It only requires one strike from 30-06 AP. Deformed, but not penetrated. I didn't know I was going to do multi-strike, and obviously.
So again, you see how great these plates work when you hit that center area of the plate. But the second you get into the edge, you're going to see the problem that happens.
We're not on the official live, but that you choose to put your plates in is important, right? There's some of the slug, and there's some of the ceramic. You can kind of see the insides here. When in ripped, you're going to wear soft armor also, and you're going to have a carrier around it. 6 penetrator.
What was that, Josh?
It rips upwards.
Yeah, here, let me bring it. So so you see the first one there. Plate does phenomenal work. But when you get into the outside of the portion, look what it does.
Yep. And you can even see on the front top part is that the bullet goes up and rips upwards.
Yeah. And this is what I was talking about too. When he goes over here in this part, you'll see the fragment here. Let me rewind it just a little bit more. You see the fragmentation that comes out when he turns it upside down.
Plates in is important, right? There's
right there.
There's
So last one to show. And then we did have a Rumble rant come in at the very end right there from Jimmy Klein, $10. Why would both Trump and Vance go to the funeral next week? Isn't that dangerous to do that? Your thoughts, Josh? I think it is.
I don't think they're afraid. Fearless, guys. They know what's coming. At least I think so.
I hope so. Then, you know, like I said, I know the beginning of the show was graphic, folks. But in order to do a proper debrief, it had to be that way. I have a final video we're going to close out with. I think I've shared this with you, Josh. It's of Charlie Kirk speaking. And I think it lets us finish on a positive note and respect this man for who he was. Again, folks, smash the thumb, hit the heart, leave a comment. The live chat disappears, but if you leave comments, that definitely helps us put us on the leaderboard. We'll catch you guys next week. Defcon, Tuesdays, 10:30 p.m. Eastern, 7:30 p.m. Pacific. God bless and God be with Charlie.
God bless, guys.
God be with Charlie's wife, his kids, and their friends.
There's something unique that is almost in the soul and the spirit of our nation. It's resilience, perseverance, grit, the ability to overcome the impossible, to shoot for the stars and sometimes actually land there on the moon, to build an interstate highway, win 2 world wars on 2 different fronts. And there's a story that I think embodies this better than any other. When you think things can't get any worse, and I know a lot of you have probably been watching television, you just close it, you're like, oh, I just can't take it anymore. I just feel like it is nothing but darkness and doom and gloom. Let me tell you a story about one of the darkest days in American history. A day that was, quote, that will always live in infamy. I'm talking about Pearl Harbor, when Japan preemptively struck us on a sunny day in Hawaii, and they sunk the entire Pacific Fleet. Thousands of American soldiers died in 30 minutes or less. We did not declare war on the Japanese. They declared war on us. We didn't know what we were going to do, and all of a sudden, we didn't have just one war. We had 2 wars on our hands, because if we're at war with Japan, that means we're also at war in the European theater. America was scrambling. We didn't know what to do, and Franklin Delano Roosevelt gives the speech. This is a day we live in infamy, and Congress almost unanimously votes for a declaration of war in both theaters. America was solemn, somber, confused, and looking for direction, but there was one man that was smiling on December 6th, and that man was the greatest man to live in the 20th century, a person that we've deleted from our textbooks and from our history. It's Winston Churchill. Winston Churchill was the greatest man to live in the 20th century because he was built for that moment. They hated him before the war, and they hated him after the war. He wrote 50 books, and he understood the world better than anyone else. He called the Nazi scourge before it happened, while it happened, and during it, and was able to defeat it. But he was smiling that morning. Why was he smiling? He walked into his war cabinet, probably on 2 hours of sleep, with a little bit of whiskey and a little bit of a cigar, the way Winston Churchill always would. A smile a mile wide you'd think would be Christmas morning. And his war cabinet was distraught, almost crying. And they said, "Prime Minister, have you lost your mind? Why are you smiling?" And he's smiling. He says, takes a puff of this. "We have won the war." And his war cabinet, his war minister shuffles his papers and says, "Sir, with all due respect, what do you mean we have won the war? Currently, they just bombed the church in North London. The Royal Air Force is losing 300 people a day. We barely got our troops out of Dunkirk. The opposition is planning a ground invasion of any moment at Brighton. We can't even field an army, let alone staff a navy. Our Air Force is a laughingstock against the Luftwaffe. What do you mean we have won the war?" Winston Churchill takes another puff of his cigar. He says, "I know the Americans. Once they awaken, it is over. We have won the war." And ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you, when we awaken and we contest for truth, the war is won. It is a matter of how bad we want it. It's in our spirit. If we wanted to retreat, we'd go to the French. If we wanted a day off, we'd go to Italy. If we wanted to sue for peace, we would go back to France. If we wanted to complain, we would go to the United Kingdom. If you want to win, you go to America. It's in our spirits, in our soul. It's who we are. We are going to win. God bless you guys. Thank you so much.